the 46 Route Bellingham Road was being discussed. It was in the minutes there that it was being discussed and some of the stuff that was talked about, and then just as video recording ended.
I do know, before this transition started, that Karen and Pat, or not Pat, oh my gosh, what was her name? Pam, there was some IT trouble stuff with recording in general,
Yeah.
so.
So can we just check it, you know? It's AVI record, or they just transmit? Does cable just record anything, or is it just transmit?
We should have a backup,
Oh,
so,
we do, okay.
yeah.
That's just what
For October 23rd, maybe?
Karen has said, that they've been struggling with it, but we'll
If
definitely.
we can reconstruct some from somewhere of the last part
Right.
of the meeting, and especially things like, you know, the minutes approval and
Right,
the next meeting adjourn.
What's the date of that meeting?
The October 23rd meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we should get started here. Thank you for your patience, everybody up there in the audience. So we are, from Don's online, good, okay, so we need to make an official announcement that with one of our Conservation Commission members, as is public meeting law practice by the state, requires us to conduct our meeting as normal, except as Don Carroll is participating remotely. All votes will be taken tonight, including Don's vote, done by roll call. Welcome, Don.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the connection. So yeah, so that's just slows things down a little bit for the votes, but we would do roll call votes to properly record this for the open meeting law. Okay, welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting at the Bellingham Municipal Center and the Zoom Live for the agenda for December 11th. This is the only meeting this month because the next one would be Christmas Day, and I don't think anybody wants to be here on Christmas Day. So we will officially can't. Was it in the actual calendar that this was a meeting? I didn't look at the town meeting calendar, so if it's not.
no, we voted last year for 1 month, so you don't need to vote to cancel it.
Well, we did the November one for Thanksgiving week because,
I don't know why you guys did, to be honest.
well, we
with
haven't
me.
been in the habit of doing it. That's why I wanted to check if we didn't need to, because it's not posted as a planned
It's-
meeting on the
right.
calendar for the town, and I don't think we have to vote to cancel it either. Because it's
I
not,
agree with you.
we're canceling something that's not official. Okay. Well, anyway, this will be the only meeting in until January 8th. And welcome to everyone in the audience. So the first item on the agenda is the notice of intent continued hearing for off Lake Street project, Prospect Hill Village. Construction of 156 unit townhouse development, which will impact boarding, vegetated wetland, bank, land under water bodies, waterways, bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area. Applicant is Louis Petrosi, Wall Street Development, and Representative Paul McManus, GovTech. So I see Louis here. Paul online or?
No, Paul's not making it tonight.
Okay.
Again, we're, just for the record, I'm Lou Petrosi from Wall Street Development Corp. So just so people can hear me. Last time I was here, you know, we've been haggling over this peer review proposal that the commission.
Well, just let me correct that. While you may use the term haggling, we were also looking at a 6 different option until the last meeting when you zeroed in on one. So coming up with peer review for a non-defined scope of exactly what we were looking for proposals from you, doesn't really mean.
Well, in any event, not.
It is an outstanding issue to
We were
resolve.
waiting for a peer review proposal. We got a peer review proposal. And I paid the amount that was required to be paid under the peer review proposal. And simply added my conditions that I've been adding from the beginning, which is we don't want anybody on the site unless we're accompanied. We want to make sure that we're not being double billed for stuff that was previously reviewed in the prior applications. And there were a couple other things.
Right.
So we
before-
cut that back and
We got an opinion from our town council about that because it struck me, and I think at least one other commission member, that in our history of doing lots and lots of meetings, lots of applicants, this is the first time someone has come to, my recollection anyway, back to the peer review process and basically added conditions. prior to, or as you had phrased it, I have a copy of your response. Subject to the following additional conditions. So an addendum like this is unique, so we got town council review, peer to give us an opinion on this, and they had a response, which we got recently, which I was going to share with the commission members, regarding, the revised peer scope went from $6,300 to $9,300 from BSC, based on your adding the sewer line as part of combined, because the original proposal for the 6,300 from BSC was when we were just looking at a site plan, which did not include this, because I brought it up, you hadn't combined them yet under the NOI for the first peer review.
I don't know, the date of that 63, that proposal was recent, it was at the last meeting ago, I don't understand where you're coming from there.
Well,
What's the date of that, what's the date of the peer review? It was just last month.
I don't have the, wait a second, see if I have BSC's.
I mean, BSC is on right now.
Okay, oh, thank you, Amanda. Do you have the date of the most recent peer review for the Prospect Hill Village from your company? The revised one, which included the expanded scope, do you know what date that was?
11/26.
Yeah, the revised one was 11/15.
11/15, and what was the amount?
The revised one was, oh, 1 second, I have it up. I want to make sure I say it
Take
correctly.
time, get it right, that's fine.
93,000.
300.
9,300.
9,300, yes, sorry.
That would be a big
We
jump.
could go for
That would, yeah, that would be a little extreme.
Okay, okay, all right, so, and that, to correct me if I'm wrong, that included a revision which added the septic work, which was not in the original proposal from you guys, that's right, sewer work, thank you. Did it include other things which caused that increase? Reflected in anything
11/26.
in particular?
Review of the site, because
Right, the
Matt
sidewalk was
Byrne had
included.
been the original person out there, and it's unclear what the conclusions were of previous reviews, and we didn't want to have to go back through old records that are possibly outdated. And so it made more sense, since this is a new filing, a new project, and a very different project than the old first filing that was denied. It
Right.
seemed to make the most sense to just do a full site review of the whole thing.
Well-
So it's all clean and in one project.
Well, while we walked the site in that previous project, it is a new project, it is an expanded project, and we did not walk the site in its entirety during the first project review, because it was a limited scope in the front part of the project, for the most part, 11 or 12 houses.
That's not accurate, and so we had an ANRAD on half of the site, and you walked the other site. You walked every inch of the bordering vegetated wetland during the hearing
But not
process.
for the project you're proposing.
The wetland line did not change, and that's my whole point, is that the resource areas, the delineated resource areas are not changing just because the project changed. In fact, this project is less of a in terms of encroachment, because we're not even in the 100-foot buffer zone. So I don't understand, is Matt not working for you folks anymore?
He's on medical leave.
Okay. So essentially, this is what my concern was from the beginning, is that as it's just been noted, that they didn't want to go back and look at old data that's really less than 3 years old. We had an ANRAD on half the site. And you walk the other side, every inch of the wetland and the resource area on the other side. So I don't understand the duplication and why I should have to pay for it. Now, it's only $3,000, but I can see this being more than $3,000 as you guys develop these. Oh, well, we gotta go back and we gotta go check, and you've already walked the site. You've already got an ANRAD that they were involved with. Now you want me to pay for them to do their work again? That's not the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, asking somebody to call up records as part of a condition that you're setting, which you did state that you expected them to pull up all the records and share them with you. That's beyond the scope of their proposal. If they want to add cost to that, I feel they're perfectly entitled to. But the point of our attorney is, we set the conditions of the peer review. You agree to the funding or not. That's basically it. We're the client, you're not.
It's my money.
You know, you have the right to pay for the funding or not. This is our town council's opinion. She's not saying you don't have a right to say no to the project if you don't want to. It is your money, but once the money is paid to the town,
you're supposed to go get 3
no,
proposals.
we only have to get, and that was also spoken to our attorney, you have to have a reason to declare the peer review company to be incompetent to ask us to go to get.
Do whatever you want. You have my $6,300. What was the date of the previous proposal? The one that I paid the $6,300 on.
11:15.
No, that was the 9,300.
I think the revised one was actually 11:26.
And the first one was 11:15. So you're talking.
I don't think they were close, that close together. You didn't.
It was.
It months ago.
The
No, it
first
wasn't.
one was 11:15 for $6,300, and the second one was 11:26 for 9.
So you can't tell me that in an 11-day period, that all of a sudden they decided that they wanted to charge $3,000 more.
So my interpretation is that they saw the requirement to compile the old documents, and they have an exclusion in their proposal that they're not going to review additional or revised materials that they're not expected to review. So that's an additional requirement of them.
So, Amanda, let me just, did you see the addendum request prior to the 15th dated addendum to peer review proposal dated November 15th? Did you see that, and was that incorporated into the increase in the cost, or was that not being considered the additional conditions that Lou's company has put out there?
That was what triggered the need to revise,
Out of the
because
site walk,
it would have required probably double what we had originally proposed in order to dig through all that. And then it would also have put BSC at liability of missing something from that old records. Because again, we don't have that key person who was there during that previous process. And I'm not sure if you have an agent that was there during the previous process who could kind of fill in those gaps. So the first $6,300 was assuming that like we were trying to be reasonable, but kind of putting ourselves in a position where, you know, we might need a site visit and we would have to add that in later. Whereas the
There
new
could be a vernal
proposal
pool
is
that
that we're
needs to
gonna
be-
just do it as we normally would do a project.
So the $30,000 that I paid you folks for the earlier review, you're thinking that that's money's in the fire,
when you
right?
said $30,000, you're talking about the project that you had been denied.
Previously,
The smaller project in the front of the property that was denied, it is a separate, this is a
it's
separate
not a
project.
smaller project. We incorporated the resources.
I'm talking about number of buildings and overall impact of the site. You're
So,
talking 130.
just so you know, you folks have it in the record. You've already compiled the record. It's already been produced to DEP. You're not talking about like a lot of, time and effort here. You're talking about one guy you're talking about one person walking the wetland line and giving you folks a report. You think that's worth $3,000?
They claim they have a day's worth of work in the review.
Fine, days worth of work. Is that $3,000? I'll pay you the $3,000, but I want my conditions in there.
And I'm saying to you that our town council says that you don't get to set conditions.
Who's the town council?
Amy Caswell from.
I'd like to get a copy of the memo and I'll have my attorney contact her.
Okay, the second point is that you should know that we have requested, and the town is going to follow through with this, and this has been a recent request in the last week or so, that we do a deed search of the property that you claim by, because we have in our information and our sources on our side that what you have claimed that you own, this is specifically along the railroad bed, but it is a deed search for the entire property, including the railroad bed, the conservation land on one side of it, to clearly determine exactly what it is that you own, what the town owns, what the Conservation Commission owns. And that's deed search is gonna be done by a third party, independent party, giving the town council the permission to contact somebody, the town is paying for that.
But you've had that information for 6 months and you're trying to tell me that you're just doing it now?
You brought information to us.
Months ago.
And you haven't, I did request at least one time the deed information, I don't
You
remember.
haven't.
But that's your claim of the deed information, we have information that countries, I've brought this up a couple of times.
I know, why are we holding me hostage for you folks to do a title? You just call up a title examiner, give them the information and have them verify it or tell me that we're full of crap.
Well, that's what's gonna happen.
But why are we waiting? Why are you
I'm
waiting?
not
Because
waiting, I
we're
told you we
town.
process, we're
But
doing
you're
due diligence.
town.
We do.
You have
have
town
movement
council, they
on
have
that.
title examiners on their payroll.
1 second.
We do have movement on that. They started getting in contact with it, but we won't have any information for another 3 to 4 weeks.
from a actual DEM, or that we have one?
That we have one,
Yeah.
essentially.
I'm talking about 3 to 4 weeks, we're being told, in case you didn't hear, that we may not hear from, with holiday and everything else probably included in this
Okay.
slowing down. But these are the 2 points that, without a clear sense that you are correct, because we don't want to proceed with you under, or us under the wrong assumptions about what you own and don't own. You may own everything that you want and need to complete the project, you may not. We had information that our understanding was from previous people that worked on the commission for many years, that in fact, the town owned the railroad bed.
I know.
Okay, so that was serious enough to make me question this for months. I haven't been sitting on that as
I'm
I'm
just-
moving forward on it. I understand your frustration. It's not moving forward the way you want. The other issue is, and this is how you want to respond to this, and we will forward you information from our town council's opinion, that we are the client, you fund the money. If you don't agree with the scope of the work, you can refuse to pay the money, but you don't get to change the scope of the work in the proposal.
There are-
We have to determine it's reasonable. We won't be, I think, have a very long history of peer reviews being reasonably scoped out.
Well, let me just say from my experience so far with BSC in this commission, it's not very fair and not very reasonable, and the costs are not very well balanced, let's say, in terms of the services that they provided. Now, you can go back in the record, we paid the money, and we're getting nothing back that is, what you're saying is it's too complicated or too time consuming for them to go back through their files and verify the things that they've already verified. And what you're saying.
It's not too complicated. It costs money for them to do that. It wasn't in their original scope.
And you're saying, on behalf of the commission, that the ANRAD that was filed that verified these resource areas, you're saying that that needs to be redone.
No, BSC is saying that it might need to be redone based on the number of years that have gone by and conditions potentially changing. What I said to you in the beginning was, this is a bigger project than originally, and I was on that original site walks throughout the site here, and we were not looking at beyond wetlands delineations, anything like vernal pools, other impacts, because you weren't going to be doing anything in these other areas. There was some back and forth note between you and the previous chair about where a certain stream bed was being impacted. I think it was off of Lake Street, not on the Prospect Street side, but well away from where you had originally posted. So we walked that site. Are you getting nothing back for your original investment? That was a different project. It was denied. I think that it is reasonable to expect on your behalf that if there is information easily available, that they do not feel at BSC that they have to incur any cost for, based on previous valid examinations of the site, including the part that we did for your earlier project, that information be accessed if possible and used. If it's dated, it's like 3 years is too long to have a wetlands line in this area with, it may reduce the line, it may.
Lines are good for at least 3 years. I mean, even under wetland regulations and even your bylaw, the wetland line and the resource lines are valid for 3 years.
Right.
So
In that front portion of the project, there may not need to be any review, but on the back side of the project, where you're going up and connecting down the street, none of that was evaluated by BSC for anything other than some wetland lines. And
I'll review it. If you forward me, town council's opinion, I'll review it with my attorney. But this is a snowball that's about to start, because BSC is not very, how should I say? Fair when they start billing at my expense. Now, you may be the client, but I'm paying the bill.
right, and nothing.
And there are rules and regulations
That was
in the
spoken.
statute that you need to follow.
Yes.
And I don't think you're following it.
Our attorney has, and then that'll be
Now
the
look at-
opinion, you'll see it.
You should have rules in your wetland regulations to how the peer reviewer is selected. You're supposed to have 3 bids. You're supposed to have a policy about how you retain a peer reviewer. You're not following it. You didn't follow it the first time. Let's move on, because I have other things that I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, I know, you are on the agenda, a couple of things. I'll also point out, this is a very full agenda, so we are going to, as strictly as I can do it, keep to,
I'm just gonna talk about 2 items that I
yes.
would like. And this is the commission's discretion, and it has nothing to do with the peer reviewer.
Okay.
So 2 issues. One is concerning this isolated wetland here, which was not part of the original project. This isolated wetland here is in the middle of the project that affects some of the site design that we've done. Now, in our view, we're proposing to fill that resource area. This isolated wetland. In our opinion, it would be better rather than having that area, isolated wetland within the development to replicate these wetlands along the wetland border that is essentially in this area right in here. You've been on the site, you know that it's all gravel and disturbed, and we called it degraded at that point.
Is that after you go over the crossing, go up the hill there?
Yeah, on the right,
Well,
immediately on the right.
you're pointing more to the left, I think.
Yeah, no, this is, when you go in, it's to the right, this whole area here, and then we have another area.
Yeah, so point out, since you're right there on the map, where is the crossing on that roughly?
Crossing is right here.
So we come across the crossing and we go off to the right.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's all this area right in here, it's, you know, if you recall, this is a whole gravel stripped area.
Let me just give it, how many of the commission members have been on the site? 1, 2, 3. You ever go? No? You knew you. Yes, okay, so.
And I'm not looking for an
John
answer
was on.
tonight.
So 4 or 5 of us have seen that. I just want to get a sense of accurately how many.
So from a practical standpoint, in our opinion anyways, and you can take it for what it's worth, we're feeling that this wetland should be replicated along the rest of the wetland rather than be an isolated wetland in the back of the
And
property.
that would connect at the bottom end of it to existing wetland?
Yeah, this
This
is
is the
all,
stream.
this is all along the wetland line that's in that area.
Yeah.
And another section here, so so right now, this is, it's 22,200 square feet that we're replicating. And there's roughly 16,168 square feet of isolated wetland
That you would be filling,
that
so
we'd be filling.
filling about 5,000, creating about 5,000 more square feet.
Right, now typically you want 2 to 1.
Mhm.
There are other areas on the site that we can create more, but we thought we'd just start with this process right now and determine whether or not the commission has a preference. Because if you're not interested in that, then we move in a different direction, which is we design around it. Or we make another proposal of sorts that might be more amenable to the commission. But usually having an isolated wetland in the middle of a sand and gravel pit is not generally considered as desirable as having a wetland that expands along the existing wetland border. So that's number one.
Mhm.
Number 2 is the alternatives for the impacts to the riverfront. So the riverfront area today is this area here. This is the riverfront area.
Mhm.
This is the area that we've proposed to impact. So we're required to do an alternatives analysis to deal with this encroachment into the riverfront area. So we've presented at a previous submittal. We've provided 3 alternatives to that. The first alternative is to limit the encroachment into the riverfront area. And that riverfront impact is 4,300 square feet. Now, to avoid the encroachment into the riverfront, we can move the road over and fill some of this isolated wetland, or not isolated, it's BBW. In this area here, so we're impacting 1,100 square feet of BBW and no riverfront impact. And then the last option is to go around the riverfront area and around the wetland area, but we have a wetland crossing here that also is 1,100 square feet of impact to BBW, but no riverfront encroachment.
When you say crossing, you could put a, I'll say bridge, but a crossing culvert kind of thing, or are you going to fill and then cross over it? You said
Well, no, we
crossing.
need some, you know, there had to be some sort of a culvert.
Right.
Yeah, so,
But the other ones you talked about, either a fill or an avoid and going.
right, yeah, this is grading.
Right.
Okay,
These are permanent impacts.
right, these are permanent impact. This is grading. This is grading, this is filling. And this is culvert.
Culvert crossing.
So in order for us to move this thing forward, we need the commission to give us some direction.
This is not part of the process that we usually do, even with you in previous projects, you know that, right? Because you're asking for us to sort of go along as you're developing your plan and give you up or down thumbs for various things so you can continue to develop the plan. We usually expect an applicant to come, commission members, correct me if any of your are administrative, come to us as an applicant with a plan, including wetlands proposed. For example, the earlier thing, the first point you brought up, my first reaction was, you have other parts, knowing that we would definitely want to have a 2-to-1 replication as part of our both bylaws and our preference, as opposed to just one small area. And then you mentioned there were other areas we could fill in as needed. That sounds like something that you would come to us with a proposal with from your scientific peer review or whatever, or not peer review, but scientific consultant, and say, these are the areas we think are best to have those additional areas, and we'll get you the 2-to-1 in by this plan, as opposed to, do you want us to do this?
Well, we submit, no, I don't think you got the facts correct. We submitted an amended notice of intent as you requested to show all of the impacts of the site.
Right, no.
Okay, one of those impacts is going through the riverfront area. Now, if you go by the regulations, the riverfront area requires us to file with the commission during the process alternatives analysis. The commission is supposed to decide whether or not which alternative is economically equivalent to what we've proposed. That's the rule. So now if you say, well, you know, you're asking us for our opinion or whatever, no. We'll go with our original proposal and you can say no to all of these alternatives, but we've complied with the regulations. We've given you an alternatives analysis.
Where's the analysis?
Excuse me?
It's right there.
1, 2, and 3. These are the.
So you don't have like square footage?
Yeah, we do.
For each one.
Yeah, you have them in your file. I mean, you folks have them in the files. These were submitted months ago, a couple of months ago. So,
No, it doesn't sound like it has the replication. For the replication areas, how complete do you have that in the alternative? I mean, it wasn't alternatives analysis per se, but in your either already submitted documents or what you would be submitting.
well, originally, we were gonna just fill it. Okay, it's an isolated wetland. You do permit filling of your isolated wetlands in your regulations
If you replicate to
if
the
you replicate 2 to 1.
and
So.
we agree with the
I'm
replication.
not looking to fight with the commission on that. I know it's a discretionary point. So I'm bringing it up now. If the feeling of the commission is that you would like this concept, we would expand it to include the 2 to 1. But if you're not interested right off the bat, then why am I gonna waste that time?
Well, you said then you proceed with other options and we haven't heard what those other options are. So
Well,
us to say, yes, this sounds good, but have missed out on something that would have been,
the other option is to design around it.
if you can, if you have the room to do that with whatever.
Correct. We changed the plan a little bit. Planning board is asking us to consider density, reduction in density. And part of that has to do with quantifying the amount of wetland area that's on the plan and deducting for the wetland area. Now, we calculated that out to the equivalent of 26 units, 26 2-bedroom units, or 52 bedrooms would be taken out of the mix.
In order to finish that, if you would.
In order to have some sort of level of negotiation with the planning board over the density of the whole project. So now, if we were to go that route, then there may be some redesign here, or there may be units that would get eliminated. Perhaps those units where those wetlands are would be the ones that got eliminated. But we would think that more, again, go back to common sense, but it'd be more practical to have a BBW next to existing BBW than to have an isolated wetland in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of where it is right now, whether it's a functional or a degraded, but
It's just a preference thing.
what's that?
It's preference on the commissions.
Not necessarily, it could be based on science, if it's a very functional isolated wetland, it probably would be the commission's preference to keep it, without knowing that. I wouldn't even tell you whether our preference is to move it to an area that I have walked through and I agree is degraded and sandy hills, and nothing much going for them at all. But, and putting that near a riverfront stream, whatever, would be potentially scientifically a good idea, environmentally a good idea, but without complete information, if you're asking for some sort of direction now, I don't know that I would be prepared to provide any indications.
Okay, maybe I'm over stating the simpleness of what we're proposing, so. If you think that it's
I mean, if you wanna, I think if you wanna explore the possibility of filling that isolated wetland and replicating it 2 to 1, then give us a plan, and we'll be happy to have a look at it.
okay, so we're proposing to fill it right now. We're just adding another 10,000 square feet of replication, basically.
So
What
is,
we're talking about.
is review of this in the peer review scope? Or is this new scope?
Amanda, you haven't seen anything about this before, have you?
Well, it's on the plan.
That's why I'm gonna make sure they've seen it, and I take our chance.
If they're gonna review the resource areas, that's on the plan, so.
So that would probably, is it reasonable to expect that's included in the revised scope, Amanda?
If it was included in the package, the latest submission package, and I believe I outlined all the documents, then yes.
So yeah, so I would, suggest it's probably a good idea to finish that out, and then we can review it and get both an opinion on it and back to you on it,
Yeah, if that's your proposal, we'll be happy to have a look at it and have it peer reviewed and see if it's a viable option.
So let's go back to the peer review here, because it seems like everything's running through them. If we were in agreement with the peer reviewer and I bring my $3,000 in tomorrow, when would they have a report? When would they be reviewing this project? What's their
reasonable.
expectation? They're not meeting again until January, right?
Right, Amanda, what is your personnel and commitment wise, other obligations are involved with other projects you're looking at for us? What do you think is a reasonable response for reviewing the revised scope?
How early before the next hearing would you require the materials to be provided to the commission so that you have time to review it before the hearing?
We require by the 23rd is when our new submissions.
23rd of December? December would
For new
be
submissions.
for new submissions,
For
but
extra
for
documents that-
definitely, wait, we're getting revised. So if the meeting is the. We'll look at the calendar, not say.
Let me make
Friday before the
Third.
next meeting, the 3rd of January, it sounds like, Amanda, is when we would be looking to get that data for us and the commission to review it.
Let me make this easier. When is your next meeting after the 8th? Is the 8th?
Yeah.
So why don't I continue the hearing
22nd.
until the 22nd, is it? And that BSC would provide the peer review, subject to my giving the money tomorrow. BSC will give their information to the commission by January 8th. Is that agreeable?
Yeah.
Will
That
they have
sounds
all the
reasonable.
information for will you be able to provide them in order to do this with all the information on the 2 to 1 replication?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna
Yeah,
add
we don't
another
want-
sheet to this plan.
We don't want to do that and then have to come back, we don't want.
Understood, understood.
Dana, do we have that bottom drawing?
I believe so. I've seen it before, so I'm pretty sure.
Everything that I'm showing the commission has been submitted previously, like weeks ago. Because last meeting I was
There's
here.
also a lot of information, everybody,
I'm not pointing any fingers.
No, it just takes some time for the committee members to do their due diligence on it, so. And remember which page they saw and which document and so forth, so there's a lot of information, which is why we also count on peer review to give it that deep scrutiny and the scientific expertise, which you did say very correctly, and I pointed this out at the very first meeting when you came to us, that we are going to be doing this through peer review. And as a matter of course, generally, unless our new administrator, Hannah, is able to do something which she has experience doing and comfortable with. But we're gonna continue to rely heavily on the peer reviewers because we've lost a lot of experience back about a year ago and on the commission itself. So things that might have been done in dealing with you specifically or other applicants, by the commission members, some of whom have lots of experience in doing engineering proposal analysis and stormwater reviews and wetlands delineation, so forth, we either time wise, not willingness wise, all the commission members are willing to do what we can do. But the expertise, where we are going to be relying on peer review.
But there, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, the commission does have to make some choices.
Absolutely, absolutely. With
And
the
these are two
information-
of the choices.
Right, and with proper information, which we in this case may be saying is peer review related information and responses and analysis, then we will make decisions, absolutely. Neil said, bring it to us as a proposal of a section, like all the wetlands replication areas, not just the one start, and do you want to have me keep doing this? Or I might do something else, which would be go around it, you know. My initial sense is we prefer you not disturb and fill the wetlands. Generally, the commission does not like to see wetlands filled. It has to happen sometimes, and it does happen. And we do have the 2-1 replication, so yes, we do definitely want to see that if it has done, so you need to provide that. And we will move forward. We will continue to, but this is a huge project. This is not something that's gonna be done in a very short period of time to do our due diligence, and I know the planning board has many more issues too that they are working on, as you mentioned, and I've seen in meetings, so we'll continue to proceed along with that. Anything else that you need to provide, because I know you're.
These are the only two things that I wanted to talk about tonight. As I said, I'm willing to continue the hearing until January 2nd, meeting in January 22nd. But I'm also expecting that VSC is gonna do their job and not be sitting on the thing. It took them 2 months to get us a peer review proposal, the original one. So if you have that amount of time to do a proposal, I don't wanna be sitting 2 months later waiting for them to do the job.
Well, we've heard the peer reviewers response, so if we can have it early in January, then we should be in good shape for the 22nd meeting to have you on the agenda. So I will accept a motion to continue this hearing to the evening of January 22nd, 7 p.m. Neil, second? Second. Okay, thank you, James, for the record. All right, need a voice vote on this. Don, since you're online, you can go first.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Ariana.
Ariana, no, I said we could say. Aye, Mike. Neil.
Steve, I.
Steve, aye. James, aye. Okay, unanimous vote. Thank you very much. All right, so the next item on the agenda is Luke Petrosi from Wall Street Development. New hearing on RDA for Blackstone Street, specifically Quick Stream on off of Blackstone Street. Jurisdictional determination of land surrounding a portion of Quick Stream. Goddard Consulting is the representative. Do we have somebody from Goddard?
Do we?
Well, yeah.
I don't think
Yeah, I don't know who would you have that might be online by name? There's a couple of guests that are shown there.
Yeah, no, I think this is fairly,
It's you
I didn't hear anything from anyone.
from Goddard?
No.
Okay. So,
so this is pretty much a, straightforward, request for determination. Back in, 2012, or 2014, in that timeframe, the commission already had made a, determination that it was an intermittent stream. It's attached to the, request for determination. The, subsequently, we've resubmitted that to formalize what was previously determined by the commission. Essentially, the stream stats, the watershed is only 0.25 square miles. It's well below what is the requirement under wetland regulations. And observations during September were indicate that it was dry for 4 consecutive days, so that meets the other portion of the regulation. So essentially, this is to ratify what was previously determined by the commission to be an intermittent stream.
okay, as you know, the state has changed and updated, whatever word there is appropriate, the drought conditions subsequent to their initial period. However, for Bellingham, even though we're in two watershed districts, which the DEP did not, in their wisdom, properly define, and it's impacted certain projects already, proposed projects. We are considered on the Blackstone, I'm sorry, the Charles River watershed area as opposed to the Blackstone split in the town. So then this is in the northern portion anyway, so it's more clearly the Charles River. That has not updated since the drought status and therefore the not allowing certain riverfront impacts to be determined to be intermittent when they might have been perennial before. Did not extend before October 1st. So since these sidewalks in this Goddard's consulting review of the perennial streams were on September 18th through the 22nd, they predated the upgraded status and drought conditions. And therefore could be considered valid. There are, should be potentially considered. Yes, go ahead.
According to the United States Drought Monitor, as of October 2024, we were in an advisory period.
Right, that was, we did these in September.
Yeah, but it was that previous month.
So we just go by the regulations, whatever the listen, I submitted in my other package, the minutes of the meetings from the drought task force. You will note in those meetings, the recommendations that they made up through, from August to October 8th. The recommendations for drought status and
January 8th. We put all in January. I will tell you.
Different RDA.
Oh, that was the other. So
that's for Prospect Street because.
okay, so when was this, the drought says, I think I remember seeing, but I'm also thinking of January 8th.
So there was minutes that we provided for, August 6th, September 9th, and October 8th.
Right,
We've had the minutes of the meeting, so.
right. Just trying to remember when you submitted those, because I was trying to remember which item of yours in the portal. You got 3 or 4
Yeah.
projects here, and I was trying to remember when I might have seen that
So
drought condition meeting minutes.
the Prospect Street one, we observed from September 2nd to the 9th, or to the 6th. And Blackstone Street, we did the observations during those days. that was
18th to the
dated.
22nd, yeah.
So, in both those timeframes, there was no drought declared in Bellingham or in the southeast region. So, I can certainly, if you want to continue the meeting, I will certainly.
Yeah, I think we just wanted
additional
enough time
information.
to verify that. And we hear you, you made a strong case for it between yourself and Goddard and the minutes and so forth for the other projects you're looking for. We'll probably back that up as well, but since this was in flux until very recently with the DEP, I mean, they getting around to upgrading this and the fact that they didn't really do that in Bellingham very much. Hannah was just talking to somebody today from the DEP. They finally got back to her. It took a long time for them to get back. They're busy or whatever. So I think that we would really appreciate it if we could continue it, but I don't anticipate a sudden flip flop or something. It's just since the status was changing in September, October, they just issued that not too long ago. We just like to
When are we
verify.
coming back for the other one, January 8th?
January 8th.
So why don't we continue this one to January 8th? I'll submit the additional information.
That would be
That
good.
would be parallel to what we previously submitted, and
Okay.
you'd have a complete package of both.
Yeah, that would be appreciated, Lou, because we
And you're
just,
just looking for a determination as to the stream's status?
Right. Doesn't eliminate the wetland regulations. It's just-
Where's Quick Stream?
Off of Blackstone Street. If you go down, we have an agreement to buy 235 acres off of Blackstone Street, the unpaved portion. If you go down towards Maddie's Way.
Yep.
It becomes a dirt road from there to the Blackstone Town Line.
I thought that was abandoned.
it's a paper road because,
Paper feet.
yeah, there's not really a road.
No, but I believe the town abandoned it.
Yeah, they did, but we still have rights in it. It's the rights in the way don't go away. In fact, we have a plan approved to build the road. We'll be back in front of you.
We own half the road, Concom.
I know.
Yeah, we own to the center line.
Another, I think you should do the title on that one too, because But in either case, even if you do own to the center, the people on both sides have the rights to improve the way, so.
No, we are the people on one side.
So.
That's why,
let me-
that's why we own the center. When they
We'll
abandoned it, we
certainly,
took ownership
we'll
of the
certainly
center.
want to verify that, especially since, let me ask you a question. A number of years ago, and Neil and I are probably the only members that were on this. As you go down North Street
Yeah,
towards 126,
Yeah.
there's a access road.
right,
Is that part of the same project? that you're
That's
buying?
correct.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the other way, that's the other end.
right,
Yeah.
so, but the Blackstone Street straight through to Lake Hiawatha, paper road or not, whatever, who owns whatever. Is it all to the left of that, or are you going to the right? Because I thought Quickstream was to the right, going down to that paper road.
no,
And I thought to
if
myself-
you're driving towards Blackstone, it's on the left,
Here's on the
Everything,
left.
sorry, everything on the left, sorry.
And ours is on, our property's on the right.
Okay,
that's correct.
but Quickstream, does it go under or through that Blackstone Street?
No, but that's the funny thing about it, it stops, like,
Just a ponded area, or
you
there's
have a
something?
pond
about-
on one side. And then when you have, seasonal high water levels.
Right.
Over
It will
tops.
overtop the roadway and go to the other side.
So is it pond on the left?
Pond is on the right.
Oh, right, okay.
and
But
the
it will
stream is on the
overflow.
left. Stream is on the left, going towards North Street.
Okay.
Lake Hiawatha.
Part of the old Hall Road, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I would encourage, since you're bringing up this title issue, I would encourage you to get town council, because the way you took title to the property, you didn't take title to it by the way, you took it by a lot. When you do that, you don't own any part of the right of way. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And I've just done this for a long
That's,
time.
yeah, something good to know, so saves us back and
Well,
forth.
we would, at some point, we should probably talk about that, because there are things that we could do to enhance that situation with your land and other things that are going down that way, because we're building that roadway all the way straight down to Blackstone.
To connect to another road.
Yeah, Bellingham Road comes in the other way. So,
How long is that stretch of road that you'd be developing?
I think it's around 1,800 feet.
That's all?
Yeah.
To connect,
Yeah,
from Matty Way turn?
right.
Wow.
18,
Thought it'd be like a
1,800,
quarter of a mile,
2,000.
half mile, lose track how far down.
And we'll be
There's
filing,
2,300 from the turn to the end of Bellingham right now.
yeah, close enough, 1,800, 2,000.
So are you going through a review with the Blackstone as well, because you're gonna be going into Blackstone?
Well, not necessarily. We own, well, we don't own. We have a portion of land that's in Blackstone that owns part of that road too, so. But I think we'll be filing a notice of intent with the commission shortly, probably after the first of the year for that roadway construction. And we can certainly talk about the rights in the way, but I would say if you have questions about our title on the railway, you might as well check the title on this. But I think if you look at your, there was an open space, that was an open space lot, that was an open space lot with Maddie's Way, and you took it by the lot shown on a plan, not by a way. So it's title issues that will affect it. But even if we were,
Could have been done the wrong way.
even if you did own to the middle, it doesn't negate the rights for us to build it under the statute.
Okay, well, we can involve that, so.
So we'll continue this until January 8th.
All right, so I'll accept a motion to continue the RDA hearing for Blackstone Street Quick Strip to the evening of January 8th, 2025, 7 PM. That motion. Mary Ann? Oh, Steve will give that one. Steve second. Don?
Aye.
Yeah. Mike, aye. Neil? Steve?
Aye.
And James? Unanimous vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice holiday.
You too. Thank you. All right, 12 these. Okay. Next time on the hearing, for the, meeting is a new hearing for notice of intent for 123 Mendon Street. Commercial redevelopment within the riverfront, 100% of BBW, BNC Pavone Enterprises out of Rentham is the applicant, and Bill Helsing, land planning lead, we've never seen before here. Okay, Bill, something here, let me know. Is the representative, we'll say first thing I noted was the locust plan was totally useless. Because the reason the locust plan will tell you where you were looking at and it showed the street name or some other landmark nearby that you can identify, and this one. As you really feel. I was a little concerned, but I was happy to see that somewhere further in the documentation, there was a set of plans that was probably waterfront or land, riverfront protection showed that it was on 140 and whereabouts in rough proportional, 140 is a pretty long street. It really is. Yeah, and I'm just trying to figure out where it was. So, I'm like, I'm gonna mention that soon, because I don't know who comes up with the locust plan and sticks it in there, but whoever it does, be sure some of the locust plans we've had are coming up, yeah. Oh, yeah, not so much better.
Looks like you're wedged in between a pipeline right away and a electrical right away.
Oh, yeah, we have lots of fun stuff going on out here. Don't cross up the two, that's for sure. Okay, so you'd like to lay out what you have in mind, please? This wasn't the packet, don't play or report.
As you go through, can you tell us which of the drawing sets?
I still can't get any more.
We're working on, you got 3 documents you submitted.
There's a number, there's a whole set of plans. Right?
Plans,
Recognize them, sorry, just click on it, just. So we do have. Okay.
123 Mendon Street, I don't know if you folks are familiar with it. For many, many years, this was an auto salvage yard, actually since I was growing up, I remember seeing the junk cars out there all the way over pretty much to the river. Later, that was somewhat cleaned up, and used car sales was in there for a while. And Mark bought it after that, Mark Pavoni, our, the owner. So, and before he bought it, there was a house out there, and the garage was still there, I think. That was torn down, site was leveled. So currently out here, we have the pavement that was left from, previous development. And a large gravel area on the northern portion of the site.
Pretty large, about how many feet, square feet, about how big is that area? It's big, but.
Oh, it is. And then they can take out my plans.
Yes, I don't mind things.
Which sheet are you on?
Yeah, currently pavement and gravel is about 38,000 square feet.
What page 7 here?
It is in the notice of intent.
No, Neil's trying to match up the plans we're looking at here with what we can't really.
C1, first one after the cover.
Which is also called C1.
C-1.
They're both C-1. Oh, C1, C-1. Ah.
Now we see.
I did.
Now we too see, yes,
We too also see.
CC.
we speak Spanish now, bilingual, great.
Almost stop.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sorry.
On the westerly portion of the site, off-site, you'll find a BBW delineator. On the right side of the site, you'll find a BDW and also a perennial stream. Easily meet the setbacks with BBW, 25-foot no disturb, 50-foot no build. Riverfront encroaches into the site is 200-foot into the well-degraded area. So the proposal is to construct a professional office building. No more auto salvage. Building will sit toward the back of the lot, parking in the front, septic system in the green area.
Which is where the parking is now.
Yeah,
Or
this
the
is all
paved area is
pavement
now.
now, yeah. So that all pavement gets pulled away. Parking here, parking there, and in discussion with the fire department, they asked for access around the building for the fire truck. So we determined we didn't want to pave that because it just adds more impervious area. So we're going with a true grid system, which will hold up the fire truck and also give us an infiltration for stormwater. True grid
That's
system.
a plastic.
Yeah, the plastic with the stone. Yeah, so it looks really nice. It doesn't cause any additional runoff, and the fire department seemed to be happy with that scenario.
So that'll go all the way around the building, because I'm looking at
Yeah.
the plan, and it was.
Oh, so to look back.
Yeah, so that gives access to the back, access to the side, and the front and right.
So they didn't care about driving all the way around, unlimited circle.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, it gave them adequate, not a big building anyway.
Right.
And they did request a sprinkler system. That'll be later in the building permit stage.
roof runoff is gonna go from where for the building? Since you're talking about runoff and so forth, where's the roof runoff from the building going?
Going to go into, next page, the underground infiltration system for the back of the parking lot. The roof runoff gets collected from the inside of the roof. Parking lot runoff gets collected in a structure here and into the underground infiltration. And to minimize our disturbance in the riverfront area and also not in the gas easement. Page before we show a retaining wall along that edge to also demarcate no disturbance area on that side. Septic system sits in the front, septic tank up by the building. Planting areas, this is planning board stuff too. Yeah,
Do
here's
you-
the turning stuff the fire department asked for.
Do you have, disturbed area or impervious area now, pre and post?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also like reduces.
Yeah, it's in the drainage. I mean, the notice of intent. Right now, with existing pavement and gravel with 38,000 square feet, we're gonna reduce that to 12,000. Grass, currently, the lot has about 22,000, we're gonna add that and bring that up to 42,000 square feet. Woodland's gonna stay about the same, there's no trees for any of this being constructed, so hopefully an overall improvement.
I can't remember.
Wait,
Bill
just
will
having,
know. Bill will know.
yeah, what is the bylaw for our town, since you're almost as more familiar certainly than me? 200-foot riverfront, what are the restrictions or requirements to do something within a 200-foot riverfront?
Certainly, it's no disturbance within 100. And up to 10% of the 100 to 200. But what comes into play here is it's a degraded area.
Right,
So we're basically cleaning up the degraded area, putting stormwater management in place and making it better. So to our understanding, it meets all the regulations.
And you're reducing your impervious.
yeah, no, everything it sounds good, it's just if there was something within the 100 to 200, that the property developed area is gonna be well within that. And a current, a chunk of the building, I didn't want to just assume that everything could or couldn't be done within the 200-foot riverfront. And certainly in principle, improving a degraded area and not adding any discharge directly into resource areas is a good thing, but I just wanted to verify that I don't have regulations right in front of me and I want to double check that, but I think in principle, it sounds like it's.
Speaking of cleaning up, given the site's previous lives. What are the soils? Are we looking at oils and other nasties that have encroached their way into the soil?
It was remediated, and then we went in for myself to get the loan for the land itself. We had it checked, so there was no.
So I believe it's a clean 21E.
Yep, okay. I can send that to you guys if needed.
These are like big concern.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when I was going through the process.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to buy it like that, would you?
I went on Google Earth and went back many years, and I, did due diligence, obviously, for what it was, and as I was buying the land, I wanted to make sure. So I can send that in and send it to Bill and send it to you.
Yeah, pass it along to Hannah, Chase.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Good to have, good to know that you
Okay.
did that. Thank you. Diane. Commission members, input, questions at this point? Sounds like a good pausing point to see if Brooke has anything else they might have. Initial thoughts.
Can you go back to the page C2, I think? It was colored.
Oh, the nice color.
I'll
Just get better at coloring in the lines. too.
Yeah, yeah.
Color.
Yeah.
What are you gonna revegetate that with?
This will be grass out front.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much all grass around here. And this, just let it grow.
Wants it up
It's
there,
really
so
flat.
Yeah, it's
Flat, and then there's a little bit of a.
Maybe going back there, so.
Lip kind of in
on the left side.
Over here.
onto the,
Oh,
between
this
the,
one.
between the pavement and the electrical easement, there's a
Good.
little bit.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, you know, space in between those, but it's not really like a rock wall, but it's elevated from there.
Can you show us the, point to the degraded area by the riverfront? Which sheet?
All of it.
All of this right here. All of this here, and then previously it was a grade all the way down to here.
Where's the riverfront, right where your hand is?
Yeah.
Right there, okay.
It's right near the BBW. Not much of a difference, in fact, a couple of the flags are the same.
Yeah, I'm seeing,
Bank
oh,
and
yeah, I'm seeing
BBW
bank,
are-
BBW interspersed here, number
Yeah.
of detail on it, okay. Alright. Does the stream have a name? Slow stream, slow creek, what's that?
It does not have a name that I know
Named tributary to Fox Pond.
Unnamed tributary, so you can name it whatever you want.
of. Should we come up with a name?
You can probably find it.
Make it fun.
You can find it, people know. James, Steve, any questions, thoughts? Steve, I think, having just gotten this, I hear pretty darn close to the deadline. Like, you know, one more click from Hannah and she would have been off the computer for the day and that would have been that. Yeah. Do I continue this, double check on anything, give you guys a little more time to look at it?
I'd like more time to just read it.
Do we want to do a site walk and verify the
Yes.
reference lines? Okay. Do we think that we need to have peer review?
That's the question.
We would know after a sidewalk, I think, you Bill's raising his hand.
Well, we're going to the planning board with this as well.
Yeah.
So I would hope the peer review would be the same consultant.
You would hope that, however, I was going to ask Mr. Planning Board member, not member, excuse me, administrator over there. When he comes back from his district hearing act, whether Chappelle Engineering is their preferred engineering firm, because that 126 Hartford Avenue, which is coming up on the agenda, they were the ones that provided the engineering response to the stormwater management system for coming up the north end of Hartford Ave. And, there he is. Rob, is Chappelle Engineering now your preferred planning board member, the planning board rather, consultant for all engineering studies?
Chapel?
Chapel. Okay,
No.
they have provided the response to the 126 Hartford Ave, so I wasn't sure if that was somebody you guys had requested. We just asked BSC to do it, so they apparently picked Chapel instead of,
No,
I'm
Chapel,
sorry, DPW responded, but I thought in that response there was there anybody mentioned?
no, Chapel Engineering is the design engineer for the
Who was the one
DPW.
that you told me the name before, it just escapes me, that you guys,
CMG is the civil engineer peer reviewer that we've been utilizing.
do they have an environmental branch?
They, like, for a wetland peer review.
Yeah.
They do not,
Okay.
but
So-
we can, if you're looking.
Well, Bill's expressed an interest that he's coming for the planning board for his particular project that the commercial site development off of Mendon Street and was hoping it was the same peer review that would also maybe do the environmental, any environmental impact study we wanted, but may not be. So that's fine.
But years ago, there was a firm or two that did both. I don't remember who though.
Well,
Yeah,
BSC used to do both, and then we don't use BSC for the engineering peer review, we use CMG.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of firms that have both, I think it's just making sure that we find one that's reasonable and can handle, turn this around quickly.
yeah, so far we don't have enough time experience to know whether two different companies doing an engineering and site review, environmental review for the same site will be meshing as well as one company providing a combined staffing and coordination within their own house and giving us planning Concom, quick response turnaround that's unified and or close together. But I will also say that many of the hearings, including one that's coming up later here, are continued by us when we may have resolved something well in advance of planning board because they have more complicated issues and we just continue on and wait, knowing that we're not going to approve even if it's the same company.
Right.
The planning board, part of it, or our Concom part of it, until the planning board has also done, because we want the same set of plans to be plans of record, and often the planning board has some changes that made, and if we had approved it, then we'd have two different sets of plans of record, and we don't do that. So anyway, we'll have to see how that works out. I'm not sure that if it's, how clearly well marked are the delineated lines?
I went out there.
Oh, you did, okay.
And there were, you know, I was able to find most of the flags, but some of them, the labeling was pretty, like you had to, you couldn't really.
When was the last
label
flag?
them.
Year and a half, but they've been fixed now, Scott went
Okay,
out
they're
there
already out there.
this week,
Gotcha, okay, nice.
so it should be pretty
So
clear.
they should be good at this
Pretty
point.
straightforward, do we
Yeah.
not need?
Yeah, it's very
Okay.
straightforward.
Yeah, well, the ones from some that they've already flagged, it'd be nice to know if it's for the complicated site or a very large site, then I'd say maybe so, but we've been to a couple of sites where. It hasn't been necessary, wetlands lines are really like toe slope or something really obvious, it's flagged well, fine if it's a flat area, an open area, it's pretty much. And it's a relatively small area, yeah, and. Bob,
Yeah, so just if you're talking about the peer review scope, just something that might be helpful. If the wetland line seems fair or simple enough that Hannah, if you can look at that, if
Yeah.
it's something where you want some review of the water or the riverfront area, that is something CMG can do. They've done that before, if that makes sense, but they wouldn't review the wetland line. That's,
Cause that would be, I mean, this is a pretty simple site, so that would be something I would feel very
yeah, I
confident.
mean, I think it's partially me just not knowing, and Bill's response was helpful, but not. Necessarily as complete as I would like to know and do our own due diligence. What the Bellingham regulations versus Danny DEP with the riverfront. Because they are gonna be working inside the riverfront area, 100 and 200, and the 10%, you know, that those are alluded to and so forth, and
It's been things over the years.
I feel confident, very confident that they would be able to handle that aspect. It's really just reviewing the wetland line is something that would be out of their scope.
right, which I think a site walk for people on the Concom who were able to. Going to make it, and it's already staffing seen it would probably be enough for us to feel comfortable on that aspect. And whether we asked somebody to review those or just we looked at them ourselves and said, this is what the DEP says within 100 to 200 foot in the range that they would be operating, that you can and can't do. No, they're not doing anything they shouldn't. And then the bylaws say the same, or more protective perhaps, but also are laid out, I think, fairly straightforward. I think if anything was too vague or not clear enough of either the DEP or the Bellingham bylaws, or the riverfront impacts that are allowed and not allowed, and what they're proposing to scope. Because it does seem like an overall good project, less impervious, lots more grass, so forth, but
And I think it falls under like the redevelopment standards of riverfront, so I
Right.
think that's.
and looking at that aspect of it too, which I'm not sure, again, I just been too long since I looked at that part of the regulations for the town. And I've never looked at the ones for DEP probably, that we just take the time to do that. The only question I have, and let me ask, do you feel that we have resources in-house to do that, or do we want to potentially use either the firm Rob recommended or SBSC to give it a once over for that part of it, not wetlands flag delineation?
I think for that part of it, I think I would be comfortable doing that. I think
Okay.
we could figure that out.
Okay, if we can't, we can
Mostly
just,
just stormwater would be something that
right,
I
right.
don't have.
The
the
engineering-
expertise
well,
on that, but,
Rob's like, yeah,
yeah.
okay, all right, so the commission.
On it.
agree- The commission agree with that proposal, that we do a site walk, just so the commission members see the site for one thing, because we are voting on it, and it's a good practice to know that. And maybe walk the wetlands lines real quickly if they're been freshly flagged, and then do the rest of the in-house with Hannah and taking the lead on that, and then if we can get a summary sort of.
Yeah, and
maybe
I can kind of pull
pull
together,
pull
you know,
together the
summaries
DEP and
and
the
stuff.
Bellingham bylaws, the portions, and then we can bring that up at the next meeting, which is January 8th.
I think that aspect seems pretty good, and then we'll rely on the planning board's review for the drainage calcs and that sort of stuff. We can rely on them to cover their side, so we'll know from that engineering point of view where we stand. Just
Are we setting a walkthrough date?
Not just yet, I just want to see, let me think, I'm putting him on the spot to do this, pulling together, so with the holidays in mind. And everything else that you might have on your plate, do we want to go for the 8th or the 22nd and I also did not look at what's already on the plate, other than the long stuff that they've been shoved in there for loop projects, all the documentation. I saw these two things from him, I think. Anything else, or how heavy are we on January eighth?
I mean, January 8th, I think we're looking at, right now, there's one new RDA on there for some tree cutting. I'm expecting there to be 2 more RDAs also about tree cutting on
Are you
there.
referring to NECC as one of them?
No,
that may be
NECC
a
is
third one.
now a new thing, and that's.
We'll bring Green up to drive the
violation.
business, you'll hear about NECC.
Yeah, and then, so that's kind of, and then whatever gets continued from this meeting will be.
So maybe it's pretty heavy. Are you guys gonna any push to, or do you have any issues? I know you preference always move things on quicker, but the eighth is the soonest we could do it, and it may be pushing it a little bit. If there's no complications, we could, you know, approve it and then issue an order of condition. What? Well, that's a good question. When's planning board, if they, I was gonna say, perhaps, I love it. That-
For the January meeting?
When,
It's the day after the.
Yeah, so we have planning board tomorrow night, and then also the next meeting would be January 9th.
are they on for tomorrow night?
No,
Oh, okay, so you weren't even gonna be heard till January 9th anyway.
We should go to the 22nd.
It was the 22nd then, absolutely. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'll accept the motion to, unless commission members have any questions or issues? Okay. Don, do you have anything? Make sure you.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll accept the motion to continue the hearing for notice of intent at 123 London Street Commercial Development. The riverfront 100-foot zone to the evening of January 22nd, it's like, based on the current agenda. Ariane first,
Second.
James second, thank you. Don?
Aye.
Yeah?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
like aye. Neil? Steve?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous vote. Roll. Thank you very much. We're good, super, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just now. That's fine. Might have been before, so.
Yeah, no, go do your thing. Here. Thank you. Anything?
No, don't expect.
No, oh, yeah.
Just not right this
This is
minute.
the best now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PB.
No, your thoughts are with us. Thank you. Okay. Next time on the agenda is the city hearing for Western Road, 45 Blue Town Road. No, it's the
Holidays.
Yeah. That's not good here.
Oh, dear.
Thanks. For a notice of intent restoration project, Lydia Briga is the applicant and the representative is Joseph Polino from Geox Environmental. We have some information provided in the portal. Did you,
We have 2 months.
and yes, I see, sorry. Over here, Joseph, I see online, his guest, do you know if the guests who are not identified are, either of them are Lydia? Or is he not gonna be on tonight, you know? I just wanna make sure if he was about to join in or needed to join in, that we would reach out. Can you hear me okay, Joseph?
Yes, I think, yes, I can.
Do you expect Mr. Braga to be participating? I see a couple of guests on the Zoom, but I don't know who they are.
I don't think so.
Okay.
He didn't, I don't believe so, Chairman.
Okay. Oh my. Okay, well, we'll proceed. In the portal, there were some pictures that were submitted as well as some additional information or a summary that was provided by Mr. Polino. And the commission members, I have a couple of questions, but commission members have 1 minute for response.
And just as a reminder, the last conversation we had is you guys went out and had a site visit. I believe you guys all had individual comments that we haven't been able to discuss.
Right,
yet,
because
suggestions.
they were not discussed as per open meeting law by the,
Right.
there was a forum at that time, I think there were 5 of us there. Sidewalk, which I wrote down,
did you want the status report or photos posts?
that's for photos weren't what I was focused on, but thanks. So we did the, sidewalk on calendar.
It was like November 2nd, maybe?
Nope, October 26th at 8:30. And we did a double sidewalk on Irene Court and Rosewood, Hartford Ave on the 16th of November. I had to look up those things on my picture. Okay, so, but I did submit some pictures via WeShare back shortly after our sidewalk, well, somewhat after our sidewalk on that October 26th. For those members that haven't had a chance to see it and impression too. So we've had a number of pictures taken over a period of time. All of those pictures were during drought period and we haven't had a lot of rain. Obviously, that's changed right now in the last 12 hours. So we may be facing a different situation as both this summary is now available on the screen for commission members to see. That was provided very recently by Joe Bellino. I think, as a matter of fact, seeing it tomorrow morning might be more beneficial than sometime shortly after all this rain has been coming down than the dried up period, because it was very dry when we walked the site too back in.
I did make it out there.
You
today,
did, and you
This afternoon.
you didn't want to
survived.
slow.
No, extra.
Which side did you go from?
I came in from.
Ruth Ellen's side, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, and I didn't see any, active sediment migration or anything, so but it's also tough with the leaf cover.
Right, no, it's not to know what's going underneath it. Yeah, if there was a lot of loose leaf cover. It doesn't mean that there was firm rootation. You could walk back and forth on that slope when we were there and we've crunched down a few things other than one or two small bushes that were there. That was about it. There, some of the members that were there want to give their input and observations that they remember from the sidewalk that we did not discuss at the time, but would do at this meeting. James?
Yeah, so I mean, my observations when we were out there, this was. What, a month and a half ago, when we
Yeah.
were actually out on site. Were pretty representative of the photos that Joe sent to us too. I think it is in much the same condition it was when we were out there before. Kind of just a barren slope with tons of leaf cover from the larger oaks and maples that are up there. We did see quite a few cuttings and trimmings of some larger DBH plants that I think we were kind of told were not there. So that was a little frustrating.
Because one of the suggestions from one of the members, may have been you, was that a possible way to stabilize things might be putting down a matting, slicing it around the existing shrubs. So it's not, covered completely, it's trying to cover up those, but to provide some sort of secured, however they pin it down, the matting, whatever.
Yeah.
The slope is really so much just take up, obviously take out any piles of brush and so forth, that there are a few smaller piles of brush and cuttings, which both Joe Bellino and we observed.
It's also extremely steep. It's not
Yes,
a slow grade. It's extremely steep from a pretty well cleared lot that there is some vegetative grass out there. There's also turf and stone and gravel, so there's not a lot of room in the yard, in the backyard, for that water that washes off his roof or just hit sheet flow in the backyard to disseminate naturally, and it's just all going to flow down that. So my recommendation was that some sort of jute netting blanket thrown down, staked in.
and then, correct me if I'm
Seed
wrong,
mix
don't
on
they
top.
seed mix on top, and then they can also do a slice here or there and put in blueberry bushes or other things
Yeah.
that were,
Or stuff that's existing, you can cut around it.
right, that's what I thought you were saying. That's helpful. Steve, what do you think?
Completely on the same page with James as to something needs to be done with our bank. It's too exposed, it's too steep, and the property has been mostly developed in the backyard. The sheet flow will be a problem. That would be my guess. And there was a lot of disturbance, is what I noticed, of the banking. Unrelated to the Braga Park property. And well, it will be. I have a different opinion on the gazebo pedestal, whatever, which I'll bring up. in a minute, let me finish the first part. So I definitely am of the opinion that the banking needs to be secured. Because if that starts to erode, it will probably erode quickly. Shall I go into the?
Let me hold on, because I think I know where you're going with that, based on this summary, you saw something in there that you're talking about.
No.
Okay, just other options, okay, let me hold on to anything with delaying structures. Don, you were there also on the sidewalk, do you have any observations you'd like to add?
Yeah, no,
Comments?
I think, I agree with both, previous assessments, and I agree, that there was a fair amount of exposed soil. I was concerned about it eroding, right into the stream bed. Looked like some may have done that already, although I didn't, couldn't really prove it. And I really like the recommendation that James had in terms of putting down a mat that could help hold that back. And especially when you can cut around existing plants, and even plant through it, like we were talking about before with the blueberry bushes.
I know that Pam and Ariana were not able to see it, and Neil was out of town at the time, I think, so that was the members that were able to see it. Do either you like to have the opportunity to see it at your own pace? And you can just drive to the front and ask if somebody's there. Providers are very willing, I think, to let people handle, probably did that, just check it. If you think you'll have the opportunity in the near future and or want to take a look at it, because it is something that sort of seeing is believing it, pictures. In the meantime, let me, Jay, could you hear that, Joe? I want to make sure you were able to hear the comments that are being made.
Yeah, I heard some things that
Okay.
that I, regarding, I mean, I disagree that the slope is not stable and is and that the soils are prone to erosion. I mean, there's it's heavily got a heavy mat of pine needles and leaves. I mean, I didn't see the slope in November, but I mean, I also added a picture of what the slope looks like when it's, green and grown in. And I disagree that with the concept of putting any jute matting, because if we had a slope that had no vegetation at all on it, if it was completely, graded or, whatever. I mean, a machine was working on the slope, then I would agree that we would need to put some sort of an erosion blanket, because the slope is pretty steep. So
Do you know the pitch of the slope? Sorry to interrupt, but do you know the pitch of the slope? That's one of the things that the information, I had 3 or 4 specific measurement things, 1 or 2 of which I've asked for, I believe in previous, some of the previous hearings. The first of which was the overall size of the disturbed area, the bank area from property line to property line, down to the bottom of the stream and up to the top of the slope. I think I'd asked for that, and at one point in time to me, you didn't have it at hand at the time, and I thought I had requested that, if you could provide that, that would be helpful. So we know how many square feet we're talking about. That's an easy, as a representative or Mr. Bragg, if he was measuring it accurately, could do and provide for us. It would give us a good sense of how big an area we're talking about, for members that have not seen it or even members that have. The second point was in the hearing minutes, which give me 1 second, I want to make sure I pick the right date. The last hearing that we had on this particular, which I will see, the November 13th or the October 23rd, I believe, hearing. For this project, we did specifically vote to move have the existing pergola, gazebo, whatever you call it, out of the 25-foot, no disturb area. Your comments summary letter talks about moving it 8 feet back is your recommendation, move the existing trellis, and I'm assuming the trellis is the pergola thing that we're talking about, the sonotubes. I've heard it called different things, and I just want to make sure we're talking about the same
it's a
structure.
trellis. It's a
Okay,
trellis.
Okay, the trellis, that's on the sonotubes currently, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so my question to you is, and I think again, I had asked for this, where is the 25-foot line up at the top of the slope exactly from the toe of the slope, the resource area, the pergola?
from my ground flags to the front of the structure, or the closest to the slope, it's approximately 20 feet. So if we moved it back 8 feet, it would be 28 feet from the BVW line, and the BVW line is about 6-7 feet from the edge of bank. So,
Right, so you're coming up 6 or 7 feet from the edge of the bank and then measuring 25 feet, and that gets you 8 more feet back from the brown flags that you say are up there at the 20.
yes,
Because we didn't see flags, I don't think, in our sidewalk at all at the time that, so I don't know when you put the flags there or whether we missed them when we were there.
no, I put the flags there over the summer, just as an approximate,
Well, then, okay.
approximate
Just a mark item.
BVW line. Um, what I'd like to bring up is that, I've talked to Mr. Braga, and he basically has told me that he doesn't want to move the structure, that he's just gonna take it down. So,
That's his option.
so what I did was, I did a number 3. I just said that I need to get my proposal to him when I was out at the site last week. I didn't see him. I met, his daughter came, he was away. I basically explained to her that my proposal was move the front of the trellis to the pilings that are at the rear, and then we would put in 2 new pilings, and move the structure back that far. It'd be 8 feet, because the trellis is 8 feet wide. And what I asked her to do was, when her dad came home, to just get back to me whether or not he was agreeable with that proposal, because I never got a clear answer from him regarding whether, he was, he initially seemed like he was okay with moving it, but I just told him, or I told his daughter, that I need to know, because I'm submitting a status report to the commission, because I had said that I would go out, take a look at the slope, look at the condition, and that's what I did. Walked on both sides of the channel, took pictures of both sides of the channel. Channel was very clear. No evidence, in my opinion, of any erosion from that slope. So anyway, but I think the issue of moving the trellis back is going to be moot, because he's just going to
Can
take
we
it down.
pause? I'd like to
Okay, hold
present
on, Joe, we have another comment, go ahead, Steve.
On the moving of the trellis, I just want to present a conversation to the board, because our position has somewhat changed. While I'm steadfast in the thought of allowing incursions into the buffer zones, just writes the playbook on how to bypass wetland protection. It was clear when we were out there that, based on Mr. Braga's property and the surrounding properties, that it's now my opinion that Mr. Braga didn't intentionally violate anything. He stood at the edge of his yard, looked at what everything the neighbors did, and said, I'll have some of this. There's greater incursions into the wetlands on the other side. Looks like someone built a fish pond or something, or a well, complete with mortared rock walls. At this point, I'm okay if the trellis stays, but the banking needs to be protected. That's where I'm at.
Okay, thanks, yep, Marianne?
I also agree that I think it would be okay for the trellis to stay. But I want to make it clear that we shouldn't compare different violations, because at the end of the day, they're both violations, and we have an opportunity here to correct this one and also show those other properties what they'll be expecting in the future.
Keep in mind that this property did have a additional structure that stuck out over and into the, I don't know if I could connect it all the way across the bank, but the dock that we saw in the various earliest presentations, so.
Well,
This was-
and for the record, we don't know for a fact whether or not the other encroachment is necessarily a violation. There could have been a permit issued. Besides the fact, just want to make sure we're not accusing people of that.
And that would be findable if there
Yeah.
was.
Yep. Public information.
Hopefully.
I will also add that
35 years ago.
Yeah.
we might have talked about this previously, but I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, but there appears to be a drainage easement, so like this whole stream is in the drainage easement. And there appears to be one coming in between the north side of this property and the property adjacent to it, but it looks like they've built a wall around it, so that could be impacting the flow of drainage as well.
Who's they?
the owners of 39 and 45 Bellingham. And or, I don't know which one did it.
Can't tell from the aerial whether the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So-
I didn't know if she was talking which
Right.
side of the stream she was.
And
talking
it
about.
has been brought up by both the applicant's representative in the past as well as commission members that there was activity along that's in the stream. My point is, right now, we only have one property that we're supposed to be looking at. Doesn't mean as commission members, we walk around town, we see something that's a violation that we don't act on or look into it or whatever. So, yeah, the commission's desire, we can explore at least to see if there has been, as James suggested, maybe a permit or something pulled once we figure out what the property address is on the other side of the stream, it's the road, I mean, the particular lot that's directly opposite 45, and we could look into whether any public records have been filed for permits dating back wherever, and that thing could have been there for 35, 40 years, and there might be no records available, but
And I think this also stresses the importance of enforcing or reinforcing that thing to make sure that it doesn't erode and he loses part of his property and we lose water quality.
and then we have a major cleanup effort that has to be taken, taken into effect right away, you know, on an emergency basis, probably if things do it. So while there is a thick cover of leaves and other fallen stuff that's laying on top of the soil, the other thing, I was gonna ask, I'm sorry, Joseph, was, do we know, because again, this is a measurable thing that use as the resource representative for your applicant there, would be helpful to know. We're also talking about this is a very steep bank. Usually we can get a measurement of that by the representatives, 3-to-1, 2-to-1, 4-to-1, whatever it is. But if you could, along with the, because I'm formally asking for this, square footage of the disturbed area from property line to property line down to the water line. Thank you. And the up to the bank, how many square feet we're talking about? That's a pretty easy measurement. And then, as I mentioned, you mentioned about, you put some flags out there in the summer. I don't know if Mr. Bragg or somebody moved and I didn't specifically ask him about flags at the top, but if we can verify that what you said is accurate there, I think it probably is, but you should definitely be double checking if you hadn't already. And maybe reflagging that part, the 25-foot line, and we're moving the structure if that's a desired thing by Mr. Braga, or maybe he's just doesn't want it there anymore. That's up to him. Would that, by putting the front to the, making the back of the trellis now the front, or vice versa, but moving that, is that going to give us sufficient to make it outside of the 25-foot for sure? Because we hadn't determined that before that.
Absolutely. It would be, you know, we'd move it back 8 feet. It would be probably from the BVW, and nobody moved any flags. I put the ground flags in the summertime.
I
And then I measured-
I bet you we might not have seen it. We didn't ask specifically if it was flagged at the top, but eyeballing it, that was a little bit of a frustration for me because I'm not that great at estimating a vertical, almost vertical, near vertical slope, and a flat ground, I could guesstimate 25
It's probably a
feet.
3-to-1 slope. That's my guess. It's about a 3-to-1 slope.
So it's not
And-
hard, it'd be about this and about that. If you could just get the definitive measurement, that would be great, both the square footage of the disturbed area, the actual pitch of the slope, and the fact that just a confirmation of what you had just proposed to us, because we're hearing that and seeing that in this information that you just sent us on the 6th, that moving, if that's what Mr. Bragg wants to do, moving it back is an option, then that would satisfy some of the stuff. The restoration plan for the slope, however, it does look like you're giving your opinion and don't agree with what we feel is the case. In an enforcement order situation, while we certainly will hear what you have to say, I think we have the,
It's an NOI.
and sorry,
It isn't in the
I'm sorry, it's an NOI. I was thinking.
I
of it.
know, it started as.
It's, well, it says, you know, still currently have things.
You say quantify the amount of disturbed area. The only thing he did was cut vegetation, and he didn't clear cut the slope. He cut vegetation. I mean, how much he cut? You know, like I say, if it's 20 feet by 50 feet, that's what, 1,000 square feet. I don't think he cut 1,000 square feet. Maybe he cut 500 square feet, but I mean, he didn't cut down to the roots. He just, I don't know. He trimmed, he pruned, you know, mostly on the right side.
Okay, well,
So,
if
you know,
we're going to require some sort of, I'm just gonna use the word, not that we would do this yet, we haven't decided anything. a jute matting or something like that, I'd like to know how many square feet we're talking about. You would be probably required, or it would probably be the desire of the commission to treat the entire slope, whether it's an area that the current property owner cut or didn't cut. If the area is steep and we feel it's undervegetated to satisfy us that it's gonna retain itself through a, might be a vicious, very rainy winter, I've heard, as opposed to a lot of snow or something, not that one's worse than the other on a steep slope like that. We have the purview, I'd like to know what we're talking about, 1,000 square feet or 1,500 square feet or 2,000. But the whole area from property line down to the stream bank and up to the top of the slope is an easily measurable area that I think that we would like to have defined. If the commission members don't care, then please speak up, but I'd like to know how many square feet we're talking about. It's something that can be measured pretty quickly, so we have to say it's about, or if it is, we just know. So again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's just,
Well, it's important to have for the order conditions.
Yes.
I don't know if it's important for us to close it, but
Yeah, I
it
was
would be
gonna say,
something we
if,
need.
if they agree with the methodology, we wouldn't need that number now, because we could just
say,
close it and say, go do it.
but saying we do it property line to property line, because
Right.
you stood it there, and I think basically the whole area from property line to property line, with the exception of a few shrubs, has been by whomever, whenever, cut down, so there's basically nothing left except dead ferns and jewelry maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does the commission wish to proceed with this? So, Martin, Steve's changing opinions on this. I mean,
And this has been in front of us since, well, me since April, and I think you guys since this summer, so. you know,
July 24th,
So,
when the Hamiltons were here.
right.
The
Right, because I
neighbor
gave
across.
them a 60-day, they had 60 days to create something, which is why, yeah, so. I encourage, unless there's things that you guys collectively feel like needs to still be discovered before making a decision to. You know, we can make a robust order conditions together, to fit the suggestions and the calculations, but. Maybe consider voting on it.
yeah, so I'm going to follow the lead of the commission on this.
Can we?
Or-
the applicant's representative agree?
I mean. Yeah, I mean, we create whatever order, and if they don't like it, they can appeal it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what we're really voting on is their NOI is to do restoration. We're gonna put in how much we are requesting. And then I guess the trellis would be the other,
It's an order, it wouldn't be requesting, it would be requiring.
right, better vocabulary, thank you.
I think even though Steve has since come around, we already voted on
Well,
that.
Yes, we
Yeah, I
did
can't
say it needs
remember
to be moved
what it
about, we
was.
did vote on that in the past.
I think either option, leaving it in place or moving at the 8 feet, because I understand, Joe, your point about moving at the 8 feet limits the disturbance because you're using some existing sonotubes. I get the rationale there.
And if it gets it outside of 25 foot, we didn't specify.
Yeah.
We told that, I think it was stated, although it didn't say, I'm trying to find it, we have the vote in the minutes right there.
Our rationale was precedence. That was the.
But also pulling like the existing sonotubes out, we said don't do, because that will cause you more of a disturbance, especially the
Yeah.
ones that are closest to the top of the slope, there's only a couple of
Right.
feet between them and top of the slope. See if I have that, what we have. Conditions, in 1 second.
I don't think leaving it where it is causing a detriment to the slope. That was more of a
Right.
precedent.
Correct.
Yeah, even back in October, we were talking about it as an enforcement order, because.
Yeah.
It says in the minutes that I respond, the commission aims to examine the current slope, emphasizing this assessment is necessary to be an enforcement order. But however, I don't think actually.
If we were to-
Enforcement order.
Change our position on that. Is it fair to do it without Neil?
We can we'll proceed with business if we have.
Well, it was a split vote the first time.
It was.
But
You'd have to make a motion, I think, and get a vote to change a pre-existing vote, which was to get it out of the 25 foot. And I don't think it was detailed out how to do that or when to do that or anything.
As I said, I'm indifferent. If there's a great interest to leave it, I'd be in support of that. But if the majority is to still move it, I can support that as well. I just see less of an intentional violation since I've been there than.
I have a clarifying question. Was the trellis to be planting grapes? So how much of that slope will be planted in?
Oh,
Like,
no.
what's the,
They can't plant anything over the bank, because that's, and then disturb.
it looks
The
more
trellis
like a
is-
pergola kind
It's
of.
hard
It's,
to
it's a
Tell in the
pergola.
pictures what they need to plant and where.
I think it's.
It's
It's gonna be enclosed in the trellis,
I'm not, it's,
from my understanding.
I didn't even know the grapes were being grown. I didn't-
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be a
have
great
that,
trellis.
that note
Okay,
back in August.
Right, Joe, we're correct, right? It's supposed to be a grape trellis?
Yes.
so the growing is happening on the trellis. Okay, yeah, I did find it. It doesn't need.
Correct.
14th.
It's vines, so it just grows, grows and hangs.
Right, but not down the slope into the 25-foot.
No, no,
disturb.
no,
Okay.
no,
Right.
no.
So
No.
just for the record and refreshing the commissions, Don made a motion, this is the August 14th meeting. And it's, Don made a motion to move the structure outside the 25-foot buffer zone. I had noted prior to that the commission needed to decide whether or not they should permit the trellis structure. And the vote was seconded by Steve, and the roll calls made as follows: James, I, Don, I, Steve, I, Neil, nay, Ariane, nay, Noel at that time was on the board, nay, and I was an aye. So it passed the majority to move the trellis, so just outside the buffer zone. It doesn't specify anything more than that, so doing the flipping it by moving it forward, if it gets to beyond the 25-foot, they could keep the existing sign at the top of the slope. Because we made that clear verbally, the whole 7 minutes, that we didn't want those removed. And if Mr. Bragg wants to do that would be following the rule of this. Can you relay that, Joe, to him?
Read what, that you're okay with him moving it back? But he
Because,
doesn't want to move it
because
back.
I'm just, well, you said that was something that was tossed out there by you.
Right.
And you wanted to talk about it. When you do that, you could tell him that on the August 14th meeting, the commission voted to have it be required, because it was enforcement order at the time, to move it outside of the 25-foot, which by flipping it on the post would do that and leaving the
I
existing.
understand, and that's
Okay.
why I proposed it. But
Right, okay,
what he said was, he doesn't want to move it, he'll take it down. So that we don't have
He
a
already said
structure, so
no.
we don't have anything to talk about. It's a moot
Okay.
point.
okay, all right,
The only thing we have to agree upon, I guess, is the slope. And my proposal is just to monitor it for 2 growing seasons and add some plantings. I don't agree with putting any type of fabric on the slope because it's already covered. What I would suggest is in the spring, as I said, we could remove some of the slash and in the area to the, I believe it's to the south, and we can put the bushes, the blueberry bushes on that side, and then anything that's exposed, we could cover it with 2 to 4 inches of bark mulch, and that would be perfectly stable.
I don't
so-
agree, I don't agree, and if we're gonna continue to debate this back and forth, then I would recommend that the commission either vote to one way or another, decide on the plan and put in a notice, if you want to approve the notice of intent, for. Again, so did we ever take it off of being an enforcement order? We did that with another
enforcement-
project, but I don't think it was this one, was it? No.
No.
So if it's an enforcement order that you are asking for a notice of intent on,
No, one of the requirements of the enforcement order was for them to file a notice of intent.
okay, so as part of that, the restoration project, I mean, the commission is gonna basically, I think, come down on the side of wanting to do something now rather than wait until spring, when during the winter we could have a major washout. This could be a heavy precipitation winter. The matting that's on there is dead stuff that's laying on top of the slope. I was crunching around and moving around with my feet. Didn't seem to be firmly rooted, and that I could brush it aside down to bare dirt very easily, and that the dirt was very loose. It was not a hard packed surface, so I'm not comfortable with, I myself am not comfortable with the way you're approaching sort of wait and see kind of thing for a couple of seasons. Hopefully it won't wash out. We could do a little bit of this and that, and 4 bushes along there will be a minimal impact for blueberry bushes to doing any kind of rooted stabilization. But I'm open to the commission's things on this. If we want to get some, at this point in time, additional, this came up before, and it was
I'll
the
entertain
applicant
a
not
motion
to get a expert opinion.
Close the hearing and issuing order of conditions that requires that you stabilize the slope with pneumatic or something that provides the equivalent protection,
As long as it's non-nylon, biodegradable, yeah. Mhm.
as well as is subject to the planting scheme specified in our order of conditions.
There's like, I can send you, there's a riparian mix that we would use for something like this.
Any other comments from the commission? Don, you been listening in? Any comments?
I,
Could you
No,
hear
I'm in-
Ariane's suggestion proposal for a motion? You made a motion. I want to make sure you were able to hear it online.
yeah, I heard it,
Okay.
and I support it.
Okay, so looking for a second first, then we can have comments on. Oh, sorry, yeah, you're so soft.
Yep.
So Pam, second, thank you for the record, just so we get on the record. Okay, any other comments, Steve? Good. All right, you made it, so you don't have any comments. Yeah, okay. All right, then all in favor, I would roll call vote again. Don?
Aye.
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
Mike, aye. Steve?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
And Neil is not voting as he had to leave the meeting earlier. Okay, so that's a not quite yes, but it is a positive vote. So you may pass along that information if you would, Joe, to Mr. Braga, that we have approved the notice of intent subject to the conditions that will be laid out and given to you within the 21 days that we have to respond by, so we get it well thought out, and if additional questions come up, or if you get it early enough beyond the 21 days that you want to respond back, feel free to do so, to talk to, and to make sure you're clear on what is being put in the information.
Yes, our order of conditions.
I know, but if she needs a clarification, understand it, I didn't say you can debate it, and don't understand it.
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I just want to make sure I have this straight. So you're going to close the hearing and you're going to issue an order of conditions, and in the order of conditions, you're going to have conditions specific to how, I guess, how you want the slope stabilized. Is that what you're going to do? Commission's going to do?
Correct.
So we're gonna close the hearing. Because I was gonna say that I don't think my client wants to continue the hearing.
No,
Um,
we did close the hearing.
And I
we did
appreciate
issue an
that. I
order.
appreciate
We will be
that.
issuing order of conditions within 21 days.
Okay,
Okay,
I will let him know.
great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Night.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Have good holidays.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Next item on the agenda, this one will be a very quick one, I think, unless something's changed. No surprise, no surprise. 0 Maple Street, continued hearing, notice of intent. They requested the applicant, who is still going through things, with the planning board for this, even though the Concom has finished their part of it. For unity of the order of the plans of record, we will wait till they have finished. He has asked, the applicant has asked, Rich Gordon has asked that we postpone this, or not, continue this hearing to the evening of January 22nd, which is preferably the 8th by far, our agenda. Any, so I'm. Yeah, Marianne making a motion. Second, James, thank you. Don,
Aye.
or any other comments or questions about it? Okay. Pam?
Aye.
Marianne's,
Aye.
Mike, aye. Aye. James, aye. And Neil again is not voting because he's not. So that's continued to the 22nd at 7 p.m.
I think it's still.
Everybody's here is unanimous, but it's not a big board, so I'm just saying, whatever. Also, for the record, doesn't hurt to make sure that everybody knows.
He was here in the first half.
Right.
But it's like a new, we're like opening it here.
True.
I don't know.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, next item on the agenda. Yeah. Somebody put this over here.
There's a different copy.
No, I got, somebody sent this copy here on the desk and I had my notes on it, it's not a copy, so I'm sorry. All right, 126 Hartford Avenue, continue hearing notice of intent, improvements along Hartford Avenue within the 100-foot buffer zone. DPW is the applicant, and Keith Lincoln Chappell Engineering Associates is the Representative,
They requested a continuance.
Right.
To January 8th.
Dave requested continuance to January eighth.
So
I was going to ask,
Second.
wait a sec, I was going to ask Amanda from BSC if she was still online, but she appears to be not. So we will do this electronically, just for the record of the commission. We have not received a response, which we need to, I think, formally request, and we may have normally said that we want to do this. And the commission agreed to have an environmental impact done by BSC. Not just,
But they're not doing like NEPA. We just.
when I said environmental impact, I'm using layman's terms, as opposed to the engineering impact. Okay, fine, give me the correct terminology, I'll use it.
Environmental analysis.
Environmental analysis of the impact to a sensitive resource area by the stormwater device they're planning on putting in. The Chappelle Engineering has given their layout of the description and response report, whatever, but that was the developer's state, whatever, that's representative. We have not heard anything from BSC's engineering side, have we?
In regards to,
The
so
stormwater device, but I thought we had gotten a proposal only, but not an actual report back from BSC about that engineering side. And I said, wait, this is just engineering, there's no environmental
Right.
part to
So-
this.
So Hannah had given their responses back to BSC, and now hopefully they have enough information to actually do that part that you're looking for, because they didn't have enough
BSC did
information.
have comments in there that said
Previously.
they're missing.
And that happened recently, so we don't have.
So
BSC's
I want to be
second
sure that
response.
BSC understands that we are waiting for an environmental part from them. More than the stormwater part, because we already have both Chappelle's and BSC had a proposal for reviewing the engineering only
Right.
portion of it. Okay.
I
so-
believe they understand that.
All right, well, if I get with Amazon, I would say, do you have that on your end? Is it in your bucket of things or somebody else in the company there? If not, can we do that? Do we have that? Well, we'll follow up with an email the next day or so and work on that. We talked about it. Okay, now we'll go back, since I updated you on that latest thing, to the fact they want to continue to January eighth. And do we have? All right, second for the record, thank you. And Don, continuing to the 8th of January on this at the applicant's request.
Yes, aye.
Aye, okay, thank you, yeah.
Aye.
Marianne,
Aye.
Mike, aye, Steve, James.
Aye.
Again, Neil for the record is not here. All right, that's a vote and continue to the 8th. Thank you on that. And 175 North Street. We have a notice of intent, continued hearing for construction of a single family dwelling, septic system, borrowing utilities. Going to McGrath is the applicant, and Bill Nelson back again on deja vu. Form land planning is the representative. We did a slight walk on this property on. Close with it. On November 16th, we walked that site, a number of the members. Then we went over to Rosewood, so either of you two were there for some. Have you've seen the property? Hannah's seen the property, James, like when you were there.
No, I missed it.
Oh, you were there, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Pretty fine.
Oh, yeah, Steve. Ariane was sick too.
I was up watching the Tyson fight.
So I believe that.
He was sick over the wall.
Don, Steve's done, well, there was somebody else there other than Bill and the property owner?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Scott. I was there.
John said he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Wait, no, I know Don was there, so Don,
Neil
Steve
was
and
there.
I, and Neil was there, wasn't Neil there?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember which one. I meant. Okay, yeah, so there was at least 4 members that have seen the site. And Hannah has seen it as well, so we have a decent representation, so. We looked at things like potential vernal pools and the wetlands line and how it wraps around, what they're proposing doing, how it drops off in some areas, and you say these are I think it was in the portal revised plans, in what way are they been revised? You know, why don't you speak?
Well, we surveyed the location of the flags from potential vernal pool. Shown on the revised plan.
Approximately where is that? Just. Yeah.
That's inside the wetland line.
Okay.
And according to our local bylaw, that if the vernal pool is surrounded by a resource area, the no disturb is 50 feet from the edge of the resource area. Put it on the plan for everyone to see. So we moved the edge of disturbance with the southerly side of the project back, so we have at least 50 in our tightest spot, a little more in a lot of the spots there. And tightened up the grading. And also we're proposing 3 concrete monuments to delineate the no disturb zone for the vernal pool.
I know we only have the no, foot by foot, no disturb from the fences and stuff, like that. We don't have anything else that's more like vernal pool.
Actually, I went into the regulations because I was, thinking about that, into the bylaw. And I have kind of the description of, portion of that, if you'd like me to.
Sure,
read
yeah,
that.
go ahead, please.
So this is like 247.25E, establishment of a no disturbance zone. Unless the presumptions set forth in the above regulations are overcome, the following standards shall apply to a vernal pool and its buffer zone. 1, no disturbance zone. The commission may require that no activity shall be permitted within a designated number of feet from the delineated edge of a vernal pool, or in the case of a wetland resource area that encompasses the pool within a designated number of feet from the delineated edge of said wetland resource area. So very wordy, but you can require no disturbance
We have
zone
no
from
numbers in
the
that?
wetland or that. And then it continues on. In many cases, this no disturbance zone may extend for 50 feet. And then it talks about the prohibited activities.
Does it say anything like Bill was just saying that if there's a wetlands area around the vernal pool, that we go 50 feet from the outside edge of that, from
Yeah.
whether it's 50 feet for wetlands or 150 feet, you go 50 feet beyond the edge of the wetlands.
Yeah, that was kind of that portion that I read. So, in the case of a wetland resource area that encompasses the pool, so it's talking about either
Right.
the vernal pool or the encompassing one, and then going 50 feet from that.
Does it say anything about, putting notice at plants?
Yep, there's, so that goes on to 2, no disturbance zone demarcation to maintain the perpetual integrity of the no disturbance zones and to ensure that there will be no encroachment into these zones by the applicant or future owners. The commission may require no disturbance zones to be marked on the ground at the applicant's expense with permanent markers. So we can do that, or.
So my concern was 3 on the one side, even if you're just beyond the 50 foot for the wetlands, so forth, they met the requirements, that 3 monuments on one side is good because that's the side you'd want them on the most, but is there any feeling from the commission that somebody walking through the property up along the road and coming through the woods, not that they're going to be disturbing area and building it, but that there's a need for more than 3 monuments on one side of the vernal pool as opposed to additional ones spaced around somewhat, but then the wetlands broadens out down there too, so we can't, it's something you might be 150 feet from the vernal pool. If somebody sees and if we had a placard or something up down on the south side of that site, for example.
Well, the placards don't prevent entry for walking.
No, it's just to notify people, don't disturb beyond that. So if somebody down the road literally down the driveway, decided to cut off and put in a little cottage because it has a nice view of whatever on top of the hillside, and that happens to be now within 50 feet or less of the vernal pool, because they don't see anything indicating that there's no need to do it, down the road again. Not the current
But
property
that
owner.
is
saying,
his property.
Filed, so they're not gonna follow the law.
What do you mean, that's what?
It's on.
Yeah,
his property.
it
He's-
sounds like they need an
cottage
yeah.
owners.
Right, if some,
So I
It's
think
some-
the question here is, are you gonna install any fences around this, driveway, like?
Well, per the reg, we're gonna put the concrete monuments. But if the commission has some tree tags or something, we could do that.
well, we have a 25 foot no disturb that we put along backs of property lines, and so forth. People put on the fence saying this, if you go beyond this point, don't dump your leaf clippings over your fence into the woods, this is intended for the same purpose, but it is a Bellingham wish thing. This is a little bit of a unique situation, and we have a vernal pool, potential vernal pool identified, and that it is near a property area, but not in the actual area that's disturbed. So that's not a point of contention there, but down the road, another property owner comes in and decides to do something, doesn't know anything about the rest of the property, and unknowing them because
Yeah.
nothing's marked.
They're not gonna file in that case, you're not gonna even be following the law.
I'm just,
So
We would
my-
hope to see the
my-
commission with the notice of intent in that case.
What I'm saying is, if they're gonna put a fence along the driveway, then they might as well put their notice.
I don't think there's no fence, there's not a fence on there, you've got to expand that.
Then I guess
I think the
They're not
3 are, I
gonna
think the 3 are fine.
I would just like to see them depicted on the final plan.
Here's on the plan.
3 concrete, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we labeled it right here. and then
They're a little-
3 areas where it's.
Yeah.
Right there, there.
Question regarding snow removal and salt use on the driveway. Is that a concern? Because it's right on the edge.
Yeah, that is a long driveway.
I would prefer one more concrete one. Right, where it's like, where the driveway is the closest to the 50-foot as well.
Which is what point? So midway along the straight section, Bill, it's, the driveway is heavily demarcated with lines, yeah, about midway there. Possible stick one along there, it's not a bad idea to have one down in that area.
No, the straightaway.
What's the distance from there to the wetlands?
Oh, this is 50 foot off the west right here.
Yeah,
Vernal, potential vernal pools back quite a bit from the edge. of the-
Right, okay, so that would be consistent with the other 50, within 50 feet of the.
So kind of at this point right here.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Doesn't hurt. Knowing that that's not fenced in now on both sides of the road, which might have been misinterpretation. I was gonna ask within the disturbed area, specifically the driveway, which is coming through an area that is wooded at this time. We usually, not that we're looking for tree replacement, but just to get a quantitative sense of how much in the resource area / on the road that's going through that area, most of the area there, not the entire length of the driveway. So do you have a quantitative amount of trees? Because there were some really big, nice trees in that site. It's.
We didn't quantitate them for location, but there is a tree count in the.
Okay, so you do have tree count there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll reread it.
It's quite a few.
Oh, yeah, quite a few. And were those ones only within the area of the driveway or all the whole lot?
All the disturbance.
All disturbed area, okay.
Yeah.
So whether it was within and within resource areas or close to resource areas or not, it's just the whole site, okay. It is gonna, okay. One other question I had. The pool. It's not it's in a, not at the top of the slope, but it does slope away from that area that's being developed. Whether it's in-ground or above-ground pool, pools have chemicals, this is no pool in place, how is the treatment of the chemicals that are involved, diatomaceous earth or chlorine?
Salt water, I'm not even there yet, to be honest with you.
Well, we need
No,
to
I
be now
no,
because
I-
you're proposing it on the plan, if you didn't put pool there, I wouldn't bring this up.
I understand that. Which is salt water? Would that work?
Salt water
So-
pool.
Yeah.
If you're flushing the water out of the pool and it goes into the wetlands, salt, chlorine, diatomaceous
We
earth,
can have
any
a
kind of
pump out.
chemicals are not good for it. We need to know that you have a plan to not allow over the grass, a host
We'll
of,
have a pump out if we ever need to.
what's that?
We'll have a pumped out,
Right, the question is pumped out.
I'd say we could put
Say
that in
all
order. of
off-site.
conditions.
all off-site.
Let's see if they already have a plan already in place, in which case they can.
We own sewer back trucks ourselves.
Right, okay, so in the order of conditions, as Ms. Chesterberry, and we would probably put something in there as we did for another site off of Candace Drive, where they were putting a pool in and they had already impacted negatively some property. Some of you members might have seen it. It was a while back. And they had already disturbed an area. There was a riverfront area and there was lots of stuff dumped back there and they were gonna clean it out. And then we saw that they had a pool in plan. And we brought that question up too, and because they had put the pool in, but they were planning to, and it was on the plan. So we made it for the conditions that nothing be discharged in any liquid form or chemical forms into the wetlands area. That is, we bring it, put it in containers, take it off site, whatever, but do not, allow it to flow out there.
Right,
And-
or in the septic system, which I would.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't overload your septic system by pumping
Well,
pool
I do.
water into it. Salt or anything else. Okay, so you don't have to have a firm plan in mind, but it would be probably something you'll see
Yeah,
in your
that's fine.
conditions and would require. That you guys then, if you want to. How specifically, just keeping it general like that enough for you? No flowing allowed, and then they can
Yeah.
design some, if you put the pool in. You should design something to comply with that regulation, or that requirement in the order of conditions that it's.
Well, the only caveat to that is, would that happen within 3 years?
Put the pool in?
Yeah.
I doubt it, to be honest with you.
Are
We
you
can
gonna,
put
are you
in-
gonna?
we
the
I
can-
lawn-
guess it could be an ongoing condition.
Yeah.
Well, but the lawn's gonna be in there. Like that whole area is gonna be lawned.
Correct.
This is going into the regs, but that's a minor activity within buffer zone, so I don't think you'd need a whole new NOI for that.
Oh, no, we're just saying,
Right,
to make it or continue.
I was, Yeah, I was just making the point that putting it in there and he's not gonna do it in 3 years, then it's kind of pointless, but it can be an existing ongoing condition, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other discussion about this? Questions, observations? Comments?
Snow and salt and the pond.
Right, still, it's all applying, good point, thanks for reminding me again, Steve. So, again, probably in the order of conditions, unless you already have something in mind you want to tell us.
It's a flat driveway.
As far as,
Not using salt on the
yeah, that's
driveway.
fine.
Just saying.
Yeah, sand, straight sand.
Okay. We can put that in our conditions too, all right, that's a good response, thank you. Any other questions? Don, do you have anything in mind?
Yeah, I'm online. I like what I'm hearing.
Good, okay. All right, then I'll look for, if nobody has any other comments or questions, look for a motion to close and issue an order of conditions for this NLI, and I'm waiting for somebody to jump forward here.
So moved.
Marianne,
Seconded.
Pam seconded, oh, sorry, Don, you're a little slow, Pam's right here, she has her first second, or is it second first? Oh, first. Okay, so Don, you're online, so I assume you approve?
I do. Aye.
Okay, yes, for Don, Pam?
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Mike, Steve?
Aye.
James?
I,
And again, for our you're not here. Okay.
When are you gonna start?
Means I can.
Order of conditions has to be recorded before you start.
21 days plus the appeals period.
Look, if you choose.
Okay,
You know, was there any money left over from BSC?
No, they, right?
I did ask about, you know, when we were talking about the vernal pool stuff.
Yeah.
I was in contact with Amanda and she let me know that there was no more budget for any more review, so I can check,
Yep.
but
okay, next item, thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, next item, happy holidays, yeah. Be safe out there. We have Candlelight Lane parcel C, notice of intent, construction of earth and berm within 100-foot buffer zone to BBW. Southern Center Realty is the applicant and Dale McKinn is the representative, and Angela is online, I see, representing Southern Center Realty.
Good evening, folks. Yes, Angela Conforti here for the applicant. Dale McKinnon is not joining us tonight.
Angela, could you speak up just a little closer to your microphone? You're a little faint on us. I don't think we can increase the volume.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me?
That's better, thanks. Okay, so Angela has, as you saw in the portal, on behalf of the applicant, put in a request to withdraw without any prejudice the NOI for the construction of an earthen berm, and cited in the portal that that was based on previous meetings and the commission's expressed concern that the berm would not be suitable and probably cause more damage to the existing conditions of the basin there, parcel C. So they're, is that correct, Angela? Anything else you'd like to add?
Yep. No, you got it. Yep, that's it.
Okay, we know the situation with we've tried the approach of dealing with the abutters and getting a engineering solution, which probably would have been the best long-term solution for the situation that some of the abutters were experiencing, but that did not pan out despite our repeated attempts to do so, and the applicant's willingness to work with them, but that is not going to apparently be a route to go. So of the three options that we talked about at the last meeting, when this was up, the berm was ruled out, drainage issue not happening, and so the third option is what we need to exercise its point, which is to just let the site stay as it is. Unless somebody on the commission has any other input, questions, thoughts, okay?
Don't need any conversation.
I was without a computer for 3 very long weeks. I just got back today, so I will be, as I've talked to Hannah, drafting up a letter to one of the abutters, whose name ends with Ilson, rhymes with Ilson. And we will send that to them as a matter of courtesy, just letting them know that that's now whatever's decision made tonight is what's going to be happening. Before that, I was going to be speculative because we hadn't had the meeting, so this will be a little more firmly put, and that's just an informational courtesy thing, nothing else. And other than that, I don't know if there's anything else to discuss.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm curious what it'll look like in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, you mean after all the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some wash out there, let's see. But hopefully not too much pipe from above there that comes on the property. Anyway, so I will accept a motion to accept the notice of withdrawal intent. I don't know if we need to do this, but I
To
think,
be honest, I don't remember. I don't know.
There's no accepting it. They would withdraw.
Yeah,
they
they
withdraw.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Entertain a motion to do nothing.
we just have to close the.
okay, close the notice of intent. All right. So we will close the hearing, not continuing for the notice of intent. Based on the applicant's request to withdraw their, without prejudice, their, notice of intent and,
So moved.
so move Barry,
Second.
second by James. So Don,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Marianne,
Aye.
Mike, Steve, James.
Aye.
All right, yeah, so again, Neil's not here.
Get this one out of here.
Okay. Thank you, Angela. It looks like you heard, hopefully overheard. We closed it and accepted the withdrawal.
Yes, I heard you. Thank you.
Thank you for your participation. It's been quite a long process.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. At least partially. You're very,
Yeah.
you're very nice during the holiday season. You're on the good list by saying that. Thank
During
you.
the holiday season, what about the other times?
And all the other times that I don't see you or hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Have a nice holiday. Thank you.
Have a good night. Yes, you too.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, 450, last item on the official agenda, although there is one person in the room I know you're on, in Mr. Mint there, Mike. Under the business, 455 Hartford Avenue, we have the continued hearing for RDA. Proposal of nuisance vegetation replacement of 6-inch trap rock to deter rodent population. Michael Cabrini. Fabriano, thank you. Is the applicant and Bruce Wilson is the representative moving forward and.
Are these new drawings?
Basically, based on the sidewalk, adjusted the wetland line to match up with topo.
We don't have them, right?
No, I had some computer issues of my own. Windows did an upgrade and totally devastated my entire network. And I just got it back in the last day or two, so.
So this was the sidewalk on November 16th where we reviewed the.
I haven't changed any of the location. All I do is just adjust the wetland line and
You did.
And I
that's
have to
right.
leave for it.
I was gonna say, somebody had to,
Yeah, that was
somebody
me.
added there in the parking lot, I can't remember, okay, good, you did see it.
Mhm.
All right, okay, so, my first question was, has anything happened on the site since we did the sidewalk? Erosion, rats invading?
Wall levels have been relocated like you requested.
Okay, like that, they're based on Rob's Cannon's visit and comment, did you guys share that with them on the site, or?
No, we shared that with you.
Right.
We didn't request anything specific from him. I think he might be referring to, we were just talking about the erosion controls.
Right, you just said store walls have been moved back to.
Right, I wasn't, I didn't know about that.
They were draped over this. Miss Hannah, yes, explained how, we had to put them, and they were put in, and when you guys did the site walk,
They were still laying on the
they
top.
were, you wanted them not on top of the stone, so they're at the base of the slope now.
Right, they don't do any good sitting on top of rock because.
No, I took a rake and pulled it back and set them. And staked them.
At the toe of basically.
Did you bring some pictures?
I do have pictures.
He's got some pictures.
I can't imagine,
Put them on top of the rocks.
That's what we.
I can't imagine silt making it over the rocks to the barrier.
They were just told they needed self protection, not where to place it and how to place it. Okay,
But at the sidewalk, I had pulled an aerial transcript from NOAA. And I had 1 foot contours on one of the sheets that I handed out at the sidewalk. So what I did was I pulled the wetland line to follow the 201 contour, which is pretty much where we observed the wetness on the site
Total
there.
slope, basically.
Right, yeah, basically the total slope. So I pulled it up and adjusted the buffer zones according to that, and then rehatched the areas of stone on the bank there so that they correspond with each of the buffer zones. But that's the only changes I've made to the plan, other than we had talked about at the fence there, doing a little 2 to 3 foot high concrete block wall to hold the stone back by the fence there once he fills and completes that corner.
I don't remember saying concrete block wall, but I do recall clearly the conversation about where's the stone, what's gonna keep the stone continuing down onto the neighbor's property and into the, washed out eventually. What about going from, northwest from that, straight up the orange area, going up towards the back where the parking area was, people were parking, but it wasn't really paved. You guys were gonna do some additional stuff there, and we talked about how the stone's gonna be kept.
Right, that's the area, I would put a little bit of wall along the fence there. And then that orange area that's highlighted there is just the stone that's in the 50 to 100 foot buffer.
Right.
Water will hit the stone and either migrate through the stone down into the toe slope, or actually might even infiltrate into the ground slightly. But
So where it says existing striping in those three spaces, car spaces are officially striped. Going towards the neighbor's property to the left there on the plan.
Yep.
That area in line with those parking areas was not paved. We talked about some, you guys said, I think you weren't planning on paving it, but it was some sort of degraded,
No, it was gravel surface.
gravel surface, but a little more held together than just loose gravel. So it's not like it's instant drainage, but it was also sloped a bit. And I was concerned.
Yeah, no, it's all pitching to that low spot there at the toe of the slope in the orange area.
Right, so
by placing stone there, it'll help with any type of soil that might migrate. It'll catch
going
it.
towards Hartford Avenue above the orange area, my question is, do you plan on adding anything in that area? Because it was still broken up and coming down into where that orange line seems to be delineating.
Just stone in that area.
Just the stone, right.
As you mentioned, if the water flows from Hartford Avenue along that side of the property line over this degraded gravelly parked upon area but not paved area, you didn't plan on paving it.
No.
And dealing with water treatment, which is fine because more impervious is gonna help, it's gonna increase the water flow. But I didn't know if you needed for the pitch and the grade to make sure it doesn't continue to drop off or get eroded out, because that was small stuff at the top, bigger riprap down below. Are you doing, I'm not saying put riprap, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just
Okay,
asking.
I mean, it's not our intent to do anything there.
Okay. Just want to be clear, so the
I mean,
stone
if you have
stops basically where the orange
Suggestion there,
line.
we're open to it.
No, you and I, three of us talked about it a little bit because I was staying in that part.
Yeah, no, that was my concern too.
Okay. Having seen that, have you had a chance to see the sign here? Neither, okay.
The green represents
That's the new 25 foot.
all colors of river.
Yeah.
Okay. so
Oh, yeah,
green-
that's all.
I understand.
What happens is the wetland line got closer, so the 25 expanded, but it's all the stone that's on the bank there down to just shy of the toe of the slope.
And this is what's existing, Bruce, or what's proposed?
That's for the most part existing. There are a few piles that haven't been spread.
Yeah.
And then the area that's in orange hasn't had the stone placed yet, but it's the intent to continue it all the way over to the fence.
And the area to the far right, I think there was a small area, it's probably even the blue area, I think, because all the green area, I think, was all stoned in when we were there. I thought there was a remaining corner getting.
Yes, there's a little bit, that area was gonna continue up to where the fence is. There's a fenced in area that he has for the
Picnic area.
the picnic area.
Right, so so it's a 66 plus or minus and picnic area. Sorry, so the blue that goes over that line is actually gonna be stopped, because I'm trying to see where the backside of that fenced area is. It's closest to the wetlands plan, it looks like. Looks like the fence goes down, and it says 205 fence on the hillside to the right of the green, where the green stops on the far right. Says 205 dark, and then it says
Yeah,
fence.
because the 205 is the heavy contour, then you get 206, 207, there's a little bend
But
in
that's
the,
the fence there for the back of the picnic area.
that's the fence corner, yes.
Okay, so when, all my logic here, you're going along with the fence, and then suddenly you've got riprap, which won't support a fence, I don't think, covering what is the left side of that fence line. Does the fence get removed?
No, that's, the fence line is right along the line of the stone there.
Okay, that wasn't made clear with any X's or anything, so.
No, it's hard because once you put the hatching on there, it covers.
No, this is all picnic area, it's all gravel. Right. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, see what happens.
It might show better on the.
I'm saying the fence is continue, it looks like if there's a stone there, and then the fence was still on there. because again, it's stone. Okay, so basically where the blue and green lines are end.
That's
is
the fence.
And that's the current fence that's gonna stay, you're just going up to it. It does block it off, make it look like the fence disappeared, that's all I'm questioning, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you put the hatch in there, it kind of,
That's fine,
Crashes the-
clarifying it is all I really need, that's fine, that works for me.
okay.
All right, so. Commission, have additional questions, identifying things, clarifying things?
I have a question. What is the stone that you're using? Or that you did use?
It's a crushed, a 6-inch trap rock. It's
Wash stone.
it's double washed stone that was placed on this. You didn't get the chance to come out to the site then. Oh, okay. It's basically a crushed stone that Kimball manufactures. It's 6-inch trap stone. It's very similar to what's out on the back here by the detention basin. Or a lot of times if you go down
Sides of the highways.
295 or 95, you'll see it on the sides of the highway, stabilizing the slopes that are there. It's size, so it's heavier than crushed stone, so it won't move or migrate.
It's not difficult to walk on, but it's not
Boulders.
smooth.
Yeah,
Your foot moves
well, yeah, don't go out there with your.
with your broken toe.
You need another broken toe.
Any work on that, oil bin in the back? No? Maybe, second work in
He has I wouldn't want to call it a dumpster, a container.
The storage container,
It's a
the
storage
storage goes
container.
and they pump it out. It's all done through water and waste service. They
I guess
do-
Marianne's questioning if it leaks, do you have a
Oh.
system or a pad or a little,
Well,
a
it's,
pad with a lip of concrete around it to contain it so it doesn't run down the slopes, it's just right on the top of, or near the top?
It's on the front side of the fence.
Yeah, but the fence isn't stopping well.
No, but I mean, what's it on a pallet?
it's on a pallet right now, but my understanding is it's not hazardous, so.
Well,
Oil in general in the wetland.
I mean, it's
you wouldn't need it, I wouldn't need it after it's been in there, the rats probably wouldn't need it if it's in there, you don't want it flowing down the slope and
Right.
the rats might love it, but then they might make the hole bigger. So if it's.
What do you want, the poor little pad with a berm on it?
Well, the simplest thing probably is just pour concrete pad and put
Yeah,
like a
a
6-inch
little
lip
bit
around it,
of-
so that if something leaks out, you have a chance to contain it, clean it up. And it doesn't go down the slope and cause an issue that we then have to deal with a lot more expense, or you guys have to.
It's within the 50, correct?
Yeah. If you put, you have to fall within it.
Yeah, yes. It's where the 3 spaces are, it's on the,
It's
up
right
against the
behind.
fence, behind the 3
Surprised that
spaces.
doesn't have like a 2-wall system, like a bladder, you know,
Right, honestly, but it looked pretty greasy.
yeah.
I mean, it's got a cover on it and you pour it in and then.
Oh, it's not one of the automated ones that you manually
No.
used, okay.
No, I mean, I've looked into that.
Yeah. Sure, it's not cheap.
Yeah, well, they have to put the tanks and inside the building they go, but yeah.
So if that seems a reasonable thing to do, even though this is an RDA and you're willing to do that, I think that would satisfy a concern that is a legitimate concern, for that, since you were working to improve the overall area, may, you know.
Help with the rats too.
I mean, we want to make it pleasant because he does have outdoor seating and stuff like that. You don't want a situation where people get turned away. I mean, it's.
Seeing extra wildlife, come on, in nature.
Yeah.
Licking an ice cream cone out of a little kid's hand. Okay.
My wife would
Wait,
be
because
dancing
we're
on the
talking
table.
about-
I'm trying to move myself.
Next step for Hannah, she's outdoors. That's the subtle.
When we're done, I just have something to say, that's all.
Done with this hearing or done with the meeting?
At the end, before we,
Oh, do the decision, okay. Any other comments? Don, do you have anything? You were there.
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay.
at one point, this came to us basically as an incursion it passed into the wetland area. And at one point during the hearing, it was mentioned that it was not known to be a wetland, which raised some disagreement from Neil because of the previous meetings regarding the septic. So I just would like it on record. We know where the edge is now. There won't
Definitely.
be any
I mean-
erroneous disclaimer, I didn't know.
I know I pointed out to a couple of the guys that are out there were some mature oak trees that were in the upland area that have been, subject to additional flooding that's going on from some other site work and drainage being directed down into that area, which expanded that. But there were probably a good 20, 30 oak trees that have all died because their feet are much wetter than they're used to. So that wetland has expanded over the last 4 or 5 years. I've been working on this project for many, many, many years. When he first came in, and the information I had was previous data. You know, we came in quick here. It wasn't based on a brand new survey. It was based on data and stuff that was in the can on my computer.
So, well, we know where the edge is.
Well, no, definitely, that's why.
Migration.
Yep.
Now, under normal circumstances, we'd be fencing, posting and marking the 25, right?
Mhm.
I don't know how we're gonna do that.
So I'm seeing this as a historically disturbed area. You can tell by the grade, like it's really steep. Someone filled it in a long time ago. So I don't think that the underlying soil has much benefit to turn into a no disturb area. And I think that the
Okay.
trap rock will actually benefit the sediment.
Something like badging, I think is what he's proposing.
We're at the limit already.
So maybe tree badges next to the bottom.
Oh,
Post with tree badges or something,
um,
or no disturb beyond
Just,
25
well,
foot.
that's just marking the wetland edge at that point, if we did the tree badges.
yeah,
Well, it says it's 25 foot, no disturb zone. You can put
this
it in
owner
where you
knows
want.
the edge, so it would be the next owner, that would be a problem.
Right, but that's almost always is the case, you know, it's a badge for the future, not so much for the applicants.
I'm also not sure quite how, like, if there is any large, like, woody vegetation really
No,
in
you-
that area to put it.
No, you'd have to put posts, we often have to put people put posts in like the edge of a field or something like that, rather than going to a tree that's way beyond what we want to mark. Or on fence that they're putting in, but we're not requiring fence. You do it at the top or slope, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but trying to dig down through that stone now and put a post in, it's not gonna be easy.
The best you might be able to drive a piece of rebar down. That would be about all you're gonna get.
Well, then at that point in time, you could put them at the toe of the slope.
I mean, obviously, you could put in some steel fence posts at the toe slope easily.
Toe slope, right? Just put some signs
The-
marking
the-
the wetland edge and then
Yeah,
say
the
25 foot from this mark. is-
livestock steel fence posts, you could put those in and put your markers on it.
Maybe just say no disturb.
Yeah, don't you have one in your wallet to carry around at all times?
What?
No disturb, 25 foot badges, what exactly they say on them?
She's got a fish and
It
wildlife.
says,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
not anymore. Do not disturb, and then on the outside it says Bellingham.
It's, so do not disturb, it doesn't say anything about
It
25
doesn't say
foot.
distance, it just says do not disturb.
Correct.
So we put it at the 25 foot mark, usually along the back sides of properties.
We can double check, but.
But I mean, you've seen them, the green metal fence posts that they use for the landscape layer.
The question is where to place them, both from a logistical point of view and to make sure that people who see these in the future property owners that you sell part to, some employee that's going out the back, whatever, and has a can full of something and, you know.
The mechanics of installing it at the 25 is gonna be.
No, and I'm
impossible.
suggesting that since it doesn't have your 25 foot, it's where we put them.
Oh,
We can put it at the toe slope, put the steel.
at the
uh,
what slope?
Toe.
At the toe, right at the back, right at the.
So
edge of the-
we don't want people going beyond it. The riprap area, we don't really care about. So going halfway up the riprap area, say don't disturb from here back, half of that area, the 25 foot technically is probably gonna be all stone riprap. Nobody's gonna disturb it anyway.
The only people that will be back there are employees. That's the whole idea of the fencing to keep
Right.
the public
And
out.
10 years from now, it might be a car auto parts place, you know, no. Just-
Oh, no, no.
Probably not. Okay, so we would, and with an RDA, we're basically saying RDA.
It'd become high density housing.
We can do a negative determination of condition.
Right, so we will probably be looking for a motion unless commission members have any other comments or questions. I'm certainly welcome that. I'll cut maybe short, but we'd be looking to do a negative determination for an RDA with conditions. So basically, you don't need to do a request for determination of applicability. We'd be saying, no, you don't need to do that, but here are some conditions.
The big
You don't
thing
need
is
to
being
do it
able,
anyway.
before winter sets in, at least spread the piles of stone.
Right, well, that's that would be, we can lay that out, you.
Because there is some exposed, so I like to get that covered up, because
Yeah, well, that would be
we
good.
did have a good storm event today.
So
I
our
imagine there's
conditions-
places around town that have some issues.
What do you have for conditions, Hannah, that you've been noting?
No disturb zone posts at the toe of the slope.
And
And
then finish.
finish
the remainder.
spreading riprap in the approved areas, designated areas. And any other conditions? Oh, and it'd be great if you could put in some sort of, since it is within the 50-foot,
Yeah, do underneath the
a
thing.
pad of some
Do a
sort of,
pad.
a lip around it, a substantial lip, so the, I don't know how
I'll
many
find out
gallons.
from the company that does all.
They might even have something that they can deliver it and set it on.
Yeah, they have something, that the thought would be that obviously if you, the thing is close to full and it gets a hole at the bottom, you can have a lot of stuff come out, so. It should be probably a substantially, not like 1-inch lip or something, but I'll leave that up to you guys to decide that.
What's that?
I'm not specing it, I'm just
Still moving.
commenting that, okay. We have a motion
In a second.
and a second. Ariane for the record, for the note taker, and Pam seconded to issue a negative RDA for this project and with conditions. As discussed and as has been noted by the administrator, we'll pass those conditions along to the applicant and a representative in due course. Yeah, I gave you due course there. You can.
Need a second?
Any other discussion? Okay, moving along, Don,
Aye.
Pam, Ariane,
Aye.
no surprise there. Aye, Mike, Steve, James, and Neil for the record is not here. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
You guys have a great holiday.
You too.
I'll
Stay
send you
safe.
canned food.
Like, wow.
You want to send the weather with it.
I know. I'm hoping, the last time I was down there this time, they had a turtle hatching. So we run on the beach with bombs chasing the seagulls away, so they wouldn't get to the bombs out there.
So the negative determination.
It was like
for the conditions-
200 of the little guys.
That's gotta be pretty.
Oh, that was great.
That's like a once in a lifetime.
It is.
And
Yeah.
Handshake.
and we'll give you a copy. The answer report.
Well, there's conditions involved, which means, yeah.
Negative, James.
Very short.
Negative RDA.
She will,
Yep.
when we have it
Word that.
signed, she'll reach out to you and
RDAs
tell you the
usually
exact
don't
next steps,
or
because I don't wanna promise
Like the
anything that.
No.
There's specific rules afterwards, but they'll be spelled out super easily.
Okay, yeah,
It's not a deed restricting document.
right.
Well, I have those on my property at my house.
Don't want to hear that.
Site easement, drainage easement, utility easement.
Nothing's easy.
No.
Easily made. But you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you.
Happy holidays.
You can come on up.
Yes, Mike, come up, please, for your patience. We'll teach you to move out of town. That's all your property, just down the street, what a good neighbor.
This should be pretty nice though.
Yeah.
No, I just so you could read it, if you didn't have it up or something got closed, I was like, I just, distributed it.
You have to sign it.
We would.
Are we paper signing it or? e-signing?
This is,
Paper sign, just pass one around.
And I'll just, if you guys are okay with it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's the old fashioned way, that's how we did all of them. pretty much.
At this point, I don't.
what are you suggesting with this?
If it's approved, sign it,
It's just.
leave one copy signed here with you guys.
Right, but are you asking for her to still fill out the COC and? I need to, sorry, before I.
Well, please do, I did memorize it.
No.
So, Mike Rice here is looking to close on his property, which he has moved out of and sold to someone. And as part of the closing, has been in touch with his broker, attorney, and everybody else involved on the sale, including the buyer. So they're all familiar with what's being proposed in this. I'm gonna call it a COC, conditional order of conditions. That basically would satisfy the powers that be involved in real estate transactions agreements held up until spring, waiting for the traffic going in the flat backyard. And that buyer understands that that needs to be something that they assume the responsibility for, and they're willing to do that. It's a relatively simple thing and would be hopefully just naturally happen in the springtime. Did they plant seed mix, Mike, do you know back there?
Yeah, EDC did plant,
It's gonna take or just be dead over winter.
it's not growing right now.
Well, and mine is, maybe I did some plant some seed mix that's close to, the time I could, get it in. And I don't think, I've got a little bit of grass growing up in some spots, but it may not come back next spring. So the buyer's prepared to put down the grass seed again if they need to. They need to see grass growing in order to fulfill this condition.
Yeah, they're doing a holdback on, some of the proceeds from that.
Right, I heard that in there,
And so if it doesn't grow, I'll come in and hydro seed it anyways.
okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure who and how that would part of that. I saw a holdback from the,
So I've seen something similar before that was written as like a partial conditions
for the Concom here or someplace else.
here.
Okay, yeah, we could,
Granted, it was in like 1995.
yeah,
That
I was
something that
strained.
Hannah had talked about too, and we had chatted about, but we weren't sure what level you guys would be comfortable issuing at the time.
The only thing
having
that
not seen the site.
concerns me is we say like, due to the seasonality, general condition 18 cannot fully be met. But like, it will be met, right? Like,
At this time,
Right, at this time, it can't be met just because the grass can't grow.
So I
And if you
think we-
have an edit that you want to make.
well, cannot be fully met, I think covers that. It just says it's not fully met.
61 and raining outside today. It's perfect grass conditions.
The sun, yeah, what the hell?
At this time, yeah. So you want to add that in there.
Like,
When was
Mike,
this,
you okay with that? At this time. yeah.
when was this
So,
order issued?
We did this. what,
No,
a couple months ago?
they have an open intent to put the septic system. We had a peer, Mike had somebody representing him, and I.
Yeah, it was very
in the
recent.
October, when were you were here with her? Oh, September, okay, yeah, so it's been a while. The septic company held up big time, couldn't complete it until recently. Okay. And it's only 2 houses away from me, so I can go over, check it out anytime. Well, I don't want to compete on new neighbors. I can really formally introduce myself. Stop by for tea. Hi, I just want to look in your backyard. No, okay.
Look at your septic.
Yeah. How's the flushing going? Yeah, okay. Any other comments about the proposed letter? We would be,
I guess I personally don't understand why you wouldn't do the partial COC so that the state has that documentation as well. This is the same thing as what you guys are essentially saying. I don't care at the end of the day, but just to keep things uniform, that's what we've done in the past.
And I've seen that recorded, so I would think that we'd want to have that recorded for the property to have those proper clearances.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine it would protect the seller and the buyer, to have that.
so
Cause I
if-
don't,
if you want to suggest an amendment to, as Hannah, I'm sorry, as Ariane just stuck in there, right in the middle of due to seasonality, general condition 18 cannot be filled out, she's proposing put it at this time, adding those words in. We want to modify this document,
I think it'd be.
approve it, and then sign off on it as an e-document within the next day or two, which would be basically as fast as this giant paper. I'm fine with that. If it doesn't change substantially, so that Mike would feel the need to go back to his broker and or attorney, whatever, that's saying a partial order of conditions is the same basically as a comfort letter to the bank and, people, which is what we're talking about this, or a conditional order of conditions. If it's a minor change like that, but important for our purposes, and it may satisfy your broker, and because it's something that's being recorded, even better, then that's fine, but I want to just be clear on what we would need to do to this document to satisfy and make it more in line with what we've done for. Because we looked for a while, we couldn't find something right away that we've done. This is a rare thing. Usually you don't get the final approval until everything is met.
Right.
But in this case, that would be a big burden on you guys, an unreasonable one, I think.
I think it also would better serve us to just to kind of break this up a little bit and just be like, the following conditions have been met. And then the following conditions are still outstanding.
Well, you need to
And
list those at
so
this time if
instead-
we're gonna approve it, so that we can do the e-document. So you want to get specific, go for it.
It's a little unclear just from reading this document, which is kind of concerning, like. Condition 18, that one is obviously outstanding, but then it says as per condition 16 and condition 30. the work outlined in this order shall apply to any successor.
So you need to know what conditions 16 and 30 are, you'd have to look back at the order of conditions,
I'm
which is
assuming those are in perpetuity conditions then, 'cause
16 and 30 are just, that's basically what they both say. So it was kind of a reiteration from Wetlands Protection Act language into special condition. They both say the same thing, basically just saying it continues on to the next successor.
so it's nothing about what has to be,
Those are-
it's not
Exactly.
conditions of,
Those are other conditions. That's the condition, is that it passes on to the successor in interest.
I think
That
that
makes-
this would be a good document to have attached to what I'm proposing, the actual DEP document. Like, I think this is good to have in addition. I don't think this should be the only document, is what I'm suggesting.
okay. So a partial order of conditions that we have not yet
Or,
seen.
sorry,
partial-
COC.
COC.
Partial C. OC. As opposed to this letter associated with the order of conditions, right?
So it's everything other than grass is done.
Yeah.
That document, if we vote on it without having seen it tonight, in order to expedite things, since we are not gonna have another meeting until January 8th.
Right.
And then that document is electronically put out there for the CONCOM members to sign. I think if the commission is okay with doing that, we have approved, based on getting a document that we understand what we're getting, a motion to, in this case, close and issue this partial order of conditions and comfort letter, or
Summary line.
summary letter is a good way of saying comfort. We don't want to comfort the bank. We don't want to comfort Mike. Mike's getting a lot of comfort out of knowing he can move things forward and be done with this, but, and that we're comfortable with it. So that maybe comfort is good.
It's a memorandum.
Memorandum.
That term from other, like,
Sure, yeah.
conservation.
Hannah came up with it. That wasn't me. Okay.
Flavor.
Right, blame her. No, sorry about you did all. Good. Okay, good. So is the commission okay with that? Don, you hearing this? Are you okay with this? So that Hannah would send out something electronically, which would be a partial order of conditions, since now apparently we have one that we can latch onto, that would meet the DEP and filing information, recording for where we have to find out clearly for them where it needs to be recorded, if it needs to be recorded, whether.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that we would sign off electronically. You, did you get a chance to see? No, you didn't, because we're.
No, I didn't. I didn't see it, but I'll review it if it's sent out electronically.
Yeah, no, I went up to the portal today, I think Hannah said. So
Oh,
check the
okay.
portal again. Yeah, I know you've been busy with stuff, that's fine. So we'll be looking at seeing and signing off electronically on two documents. Same time, since we might as well just have to
Yep.
put in there that Hannah's, or that Ariane suggested. And then we're voting to approve both the partial order of conditions and this memorandum of understanding, whatever we want to call it. That we're looking at tonight was in the portal. So there'll be two electronic documents. Sign them both quickly and send them back.
So
Or
Yep.
you
it's
document.
just Form 8B that, instead of checking like the complete certification, you check partial certifications, then we just have to sign that one, I think. I don't think
Yes.
we'll have to sign this as well. Okay.
Well, since the bank and everybody reviewed this, if we don't have any problems with it, other than changing that there, I think.
I
This-
think they were just, they wanted some partial that spoke about essentially that.
Well, let me ask
It
Mike,
was-
Mike, do you think that what we're talking about here, which is issuing one document that says partial order of conditions as opposed to what you've seen here, would be fine? You don't need to go double check with anybody, because you're the one that has been doing a lot of legwork, making sure everybody's on board, the buyer, your
Yeah.
attorneys and so forth, and I don't want to assume things. If both are better than one, I'm for giving them both, since neither one is gonna be a problem. It's just an extra set of
So this
signatures.
would be included, we just wouldn't have to sign it.
Right, well, that's fine.
May I jump on?
Sure.
Hi, my name is Gerard Dillis. I'm actually representing Mike in the sale of his property.
Oh, thanks.
I've been
You're guest
monitor-
number two.
I've been
Sorry.
monitoring secretly, going through his life anonymously here as guest. Yeah, so just to answer your question, I think whatever you were calling it, the comfort letter, the memorandum, it's just something to supply to the buyer's attorney, buyer's side, just to say, look, everything's all set to go. We just need grass to grow. Obviously, the season is restricting that from happening. I mean, if you want to include in that memorandum, that comfort letter, that the partial, certificate of compliance will be forthcoming. I personally think the letter is enough, but I'll leave that to your expertise and what you normally do.
Well, this isn't the normal thing.
It's
so
not
we-
the normal.
So actually, we were thinking about reversing that, issuing the partial order of completion and attaching this template letter if you felt it was helpful to do so without signatures, but just the letter there. And the partial order of conditions would be signed by the commission, and that basically would state that, you know, we need to have grass grow, the buyer is assuming the responsibility for that, and any other conditions that were laid out here by our ancestors.
Yeah, the only thing we're up against is time, unfortunately.
What's
you know,
that?
with
Right, well, we're talking about what's
closing date,
happening. Right, we don't want to postpone this into January. We want to get this done as quickly as possible.
It
We
would
also,
need to be recorded at the registry of deeds.
it would probably,
Become official, they might take an unofficial copy, but in my experience with banks.
do you think this is something that gets, you're saying it needs to be filed partial order with?
Yeah,
registry?
it would, yeah.
So this will need to be filed with the registry of deeds according to our advising here.
Right, but even an unofficial, some sort of unofficial document will satisfy everyone until that partial can get recorded. I can guarantee you that.
Right, so if they both came out within the next. Yeah,
We can just give them this and then they can.
Right.
how fast could you guys come up with a partial order?
Oh, it's one page. It's filling in the address.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. we can
Okay,
do that
so
tomorrow.
what we're proposing is that by tomorrow we would have both available.
That's fine.
Okay,
Will those be sent out electronically to say Mike or
well, whoever you designate, if you want to send, do you have Hannah?
Hannah
Jason's
has my
email?
contact info.
Okay, so Hannah can send you a copy directly, send Mike a copy directly of both documents. We can sign off on them. I can't promise every commission member outside of this room will sign them, but we only need 4 signatures to be valid. And there's 5 members in the room right now. And the other 2 may or may not be available to sign. One's out of state, and the other one had family emergency come up. So we'll get the required signatures, I think, by tomorrow too. So it'll be a signed document that you can then both put the registry of deeds with and satisfy the bank and so forth and move forward with your closing.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So, thank you. So having any other questions? Ariane, you're gonna work with Hannah about this one splitting it. I think we do only need to sign the partial order conditions, so we'll just look for the 1 signatures. If you want to eliminate the signature section on this, you might as well just say memorandum of understanding, whatever.
The partial certification is a step above this.
Right,
So
it's-
this was
it's
just
more
kind of
formal
the
because-
lowest step.
Right,
Yeah.
it's filed, it's recorded,
Right.
and it also satisfies our very limited precedence of doing this. So we're consistent with what we've done in the past, even though it's very, very limited. I couldn't remember when the last did for sure. Okay,
Blackstone
Blackstone.
with the grass in the back. Remember, you were out there with me.
Not
last
pot
time.
grass, you mean grass.
Yeah.
Lawn, as opposed to.
Yeah.
Well, you said grass, and I don't
Grass.
want us to, Bellingham has a new thing about, wanting a dispenser. Okay, sorry. All right, so, wanting it, they, anyway, okay, so I'll accept a motion to, yeah, because we're issuing a partial order of conditions, yeah, definitely, hold on.
We'll try to have those signatures
Yep.
by the end of tomorrow or earlier.
Here we go. Okay.
You want
Don?
one note?
Issuing partial order conditions for this project with some conditions and.
Just say COC for the record.
Okay, COC for the record. Thank you. Correction.
Aye, yep.
Aye. Pam?
Hi.
Ariane?
Hi.
Mike, aye. Steve? James?
Aye.
And you can for the record, Don, you started
Yes.
off, right? Okay, yeah, I want to make
Yes,
sure
I
you got
did.
yours.
Yep.
Okay. And for the record, Neil's not here. All right, so we have a plan. We'll be getting this within the next 24 or a little bit more hours. It's just since, again, we got to all sign off on it and get back to Hannah, but she will get copies to you and to her attorney and go for it and I close up and you're good to go. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for your patience hanging in there too. Okay, good. Minutes. Anybody have any comments about the October 23rd or the 11th minutes? Night, Mike. Have a good holiday. Say hi.
I didn't see anything.
I didn't, let me check. I think I had something. Certified. Sidewalk.
That was the one with the video issue.
Yeah, no, it was only the thing with the video issue on the October 23rd meeting that we,
Maybe we'll hold on.
I think, yeah, we should hold, I'll look for a motion to accept and approve the minutes for November 13th. We don't apparently have anybody that has any issues or comments. And, then we'll deal with the October 23rd one in a slightly different manner, perhaps just not do it till it's done over. So moved. Ariane, Pam seconded, or Pam first and Ariane seconded, okay. Any other discussion about just the minutes for the, November 13th? Okay, all in favor? James?
Aye.
Neil? Not here. Steve? Aye. Don?
Aye.
Okay, Ariane?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Mike, aye.
Don't
Okay.
stick around for Neil.
Keep us on our toes.
That's right. I knew you. Space. Okay, October 23rd, you just want to hold on these, that's the simplest thing to do.
Yeah, I think we
When-
should
when
hop
you have it
over
all-
to Plymouth Road.
When we figure out how we get the rest of the stuff, like who closed the meeting and the minutes and whatever else is missing. Rob, you know how to interface with the Hanos to get, you said there's a backup copy somewhere.
For oh, yeah, for the meeting,
And so
recording.
23rd, yeah.
Yep, I think I can, yes, yes.
That's
Just say
that's as
yes.
strong, that's as strong as a statement I've ever heard you say, Rob. And that's saying a lot. Okay, thank you. Okay,
He's spicy tonight.
Yeah.
Plymouth Road, Concom, the drugs are kicking in, the drugs are kicking in.
You're also on ice only in the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
All right, so Plymouth Road there, I think we can collectively, it started out with a conversation with me and Sahan, the selectman, his house. We abuts Concom property,
Right at the other side of the fence.
right on the other side of the fence.
What's the address?
There's trees, Plymouth Road, you know? Oh, okay. 30 something, I feel like.
Is that Standish?
No.
No. Plymouth Village,
It is Pilgrim Village.
Okay.
It's,
there's some tight lots there, yeah.
Okay, well, so the trees are leaning over his fence line, they're technically our trees, I told him we don't cut trees unless we know the health of them, especially if they're on our property. And so the town arborist went out there, I had a discussion with him, he feels that some of the trees are healthy, he wouldn't say that all of them are dead and we should just cut them, and leave a stump. He was like, I would maybe cut some branches, but that was just a phone conversation that we had.
It
And I
looked
don't
like the
know,
way they were leaning in the pictures.
any updates? Okay, so then Sohan sent some photos for you guys to assess.
When I looked at the pictures, my first reaction was, well, yeah, definitely leaning in if they're concerned about, I couldn't see what's on the other side of the fence, which would have been helpful. They leave the camera over and said either they're in a bank or they're stuck in water or whatever, even what kind of trees they were, other than they look like hardwoods, obviously of some sort, no leaves or anything. But my thought was, if we cut what's leaning out over, it looks like you're gonna have to cut only like 10 or 15 feet up, and that's gonna kill the rest of the tree. I mean, there was some, the major trunks are leaning, it's not like a branch or two you can just snip. But if the arborist has a plan for, these 4 out of these 6, or how many trees are we talking about that they're concerned about, do you say?
At least 2.
I saw at least 2, maybe 3 that were close, but again, it's hard to tell from the picture, which is that the same tree as, anyway. Okay.
79 Plymouth Road.
That was way off.
Yeah, we find somebody else's backyard, hey, you don't have trees, okay, so what's the request by them?
So I mean, it's our trees, it's on our property, they're leaning into his, the concern, I guess, is our liability of if they were to fall.
Having had them notify us and us not doing anything about it,
Right.
for sure.
So,
So we've had recent cases around this, a couple of neighbors away from me had the same situation, they were in Concom land, burying a little strip right up by the road. Big tree, arborist came out, said this tree's got these severe disease in it, we said just cut it off, leave the roots and the stumps there. Remove it without any machinery, they were only 5 feet from the person's driveway, which was the concern, and they did it and it was fine. So I don't know if we want to have them, unless it's Concom property, but they have the safety concern, I think, they could pay for the arborist to come in and say, these 2 trees go, these 3 don't, this is the method you can do, reach over the fence with a crane, pull them out, whatever. Or whether, because they're on Concom property, the only cases I've seen about this, the applicant usually pays for it, I don't think we've incurred any costs to remove trees, is that what? you
Well,
think?
we have the town arborist budget, since it's our property, he can go in and do that.
Right, and I'm sure the property owner will give them full permission to put whatever equipment, but in a way that doesn't disturb the, I mean, if it's all wetlands, I don't
Yeah,
slope or, but they got.
that's what my concern is. It's the BVW's right up essentially to
Yeah.
the property line.
Cause
Right.
it's near the Charles River, so,
Access would have to be from this individual's
Well,
property.
it might be a dead tree that's just giving out
right,
partially, maybe it's just the light. The woods,
Trees don't usually.
yeah. Yeah, if I notice it bending more and more, I'd be getting pretty concerned too.
This is wild.
So how willing is the arborist to do anything since we had a conversation?
he's willing to do it, he just didn't wanna pull the trigger and saying, like, I'm just gonna go cut them, cause I got a request for it when it's on our property,
Oh,
and
for
he
sure.
didn't feel like they were 100% dead.
Which at this time of the year is gonna be even tougher to tell.
Okay, so
Why
that-
is Sahan asking for them to be removed? Concerned about them falling on
I
the,
think right now it's just mostly about the fence damage. I don't know if it would potentially, I don't know
Well,
his
looks like a
backyard
couple
well,
leaning over a
but if it would
garage or
actually
whatever.
get close to the actual structures.
probably the pool.
So, looking at the aerial shot towers.
Could also be the shed. that-
Right now, he's only formally concerned about the fence. He didn't bring up the,
It's his fence.
yes, his fence.
Yeah, well, there's the fence of the house, it's his property, property damage and along with personal safety are the usual two reasons we make an exception to remove a tree. That may even be healthy-ish, but in danger of falling, the roots are starting to go out, but it still has greenery on, for example, that's come up over the years. And usually we give the property owner permission to remove the trees. With a plan that's approved by us, like, no heavy machinery or whatever. In this case, it looks like we could incur the cost if it's a reasonable one and have the trees removed. That are determined to be dead or at risk of falling based on the arborist's opinion. And leave it at that. If that's what the commission wants to do, or, and limit it to only the ones that at this point in time is necessary with a further review in the springtime. When things might come back and you can tell for sure these three are dead or this one is maybe not dead, but it's really, the roots are starting to come up on the backside. Without seeing the rest of the property and we didn't ever schedule a site walk for that property, did we? We didn't do that before we leave.
As long as there's not a risk to health and human safety, I'm fine.
Well-
But if there's, like, if the arborist went out there and said this branch specifically is gonna fall tomorrow,
Yeah,
we want that down now, because God forbid it falls on, if he has children or anything.
Right. Or property damage and then they start selling it
Yeah.
down. We told you about.
but if it hits Kaya, that's kidding.
He's never home, come on. All right. That's where you get rid of interns for the future. Now recruitment plan works well, and come back to work for us or what?
Yeah.
All right, just getting out there, whoever's listening, yeah, buddy.
So I will talk to the tree arborist and say if there's any like really dead stuff, like you guys approve that to be
Right,
removed,
so let me.
Or immediate danger.
or immediate danger.
Right.
Right,
And
okay.
then we can evaluate it and find out when they think that they would best evaluate the ones that are marginal, like mid-spring, May, June,
Okay.
whatever, based on the type of tree it is and whatever.
Right.
Also, I think we need to emphasize that they need to, I don't know what machinery and how cautious this arborist is, because I don't know who they are, about doing the work there, but they, don't drive a tree cutting, clearing machine on the backside of the fence and into the wetlands and you can do it from the driveway side.
The fence goes over the property line and there's a shed beyond the property line.
I'm thinking it's really close to 10 o'clock. Do we want to talk about this right now?
Do you want to make a decision on the trees? Because, maybe we're protecting our shed from our trees.
I think this conversation isn't gonna end today anyway, so we should.
Okay, let's not. make a
Right.
decision on it.
So we don't have to vote on anything as an additional other business, we're just authorizing by our nods of heads or whatever, nodding off sleep. The Plymouth Road, property get talked to by the arborist and Hannah and see what one did.
Yeah, I would say push them in the direction of saying it's not acceptable to have access through.
Right.
Our property, and it has
Right.
to go through. That homeowner.
Yeah, which I'm sure they'd be willing to do. Okay, we need to bring up two other points, one of which I guess we decided we didn't need to bring up because I made a note before. We discussed now that we don't need to cancel the 12:25 meeting. But there's a violation that's been noted. We did not put it on the agenda for tonight. the NEC property, New England Country Club. Apparently, they've been doing some cutting in wetlands areas around the property, and that was brought to our attention by,
BSC, because we were out doing the sidewalk for the ANRAD that was filed. And then
How
I was
smart
out
of
there for a little bit and then.
no, this
I
is not,
left,
this is the
and
current property owner.
Peer
that's-
review was
No, I know,
further
I'm saying, how
on
smart
that
of them to
and
do
they
that when they
contacted
have a project in front of us.
Yes.
And Brian Madden, who's LAC also.
People selling ground, yeah.
I reached out to the property owner because I guess that's different from the applicant with ANRAD. And you know, let them know, like, people were out there, they told them to cease and desist basically, but didn't get anything formally from.
Hannah and Brian talk to people.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you like saw remnants.
I did, but yeah, they were actively doing stuff out there, I guess. But so I reached out over phone and then I reached out over email, and they responded back to me and I basically said, you know, we need to cease and desist and show up to the January 8th meeting.
So informational kind of thing at that point in time, then we would instruct them based on whatever they're saying that they're doing or have been doing. As it plays out to, you know, come with us an NOI or whatever. But I think putting it off till January was better than having them come in with us, no preparation, no whatever. And as I said to Hannah, hopefully they will stop doing it and there's nothing to, we're not gonna go out and monitor that, see if they pull the brush or trees they cut down on the edge of the wetlands or drop it to the wetlands to.
Probably get eyes on it.
They seem aware of the situation and I said, I mean, I can go out later this week just because I also haven't seen the back of the site for the ANRAD that they're filing anyways. Because I only stayed for that first portion because I had meetings and stuff after. So I can, you know, go out there later this week and just kind of get eyes on this information.
All right, so that's information for you all, and anything else on anybody else's mind? They see any violations downtown or anything we need to do? The only other thing was we said that we were going to do a site walk of 123 Mendon Street. The commercial redevelopment for housing grows, we're talking about. It's a limited site, we're just gonna be looking at the wetlands flag and getting a feel for the property, the riverfront area and so forth, to sort of Mendon Street. This is something that we don't all have to go to as a group, given how accessible it is. I don't think if that doesn't work for people's schedules, to be close to the holidays here quickly. If you wanted to do it this Saturday, I'm open for Saturday.
I'm free Saturday morning.
No, okay. Well, if either of the two of you know where it is now approximately, and just park in the gravel area that they used to park in and just walk around and down to the flags and so forth, I don't think you get lost on the site.
No.
So they started.
I would just confirm with Bill that's gonna work.
Yeah, I think we can do a quick email, say we're, you know, a couple people, maybe the three of us. Don, will you be back in town, do you know, by Saturday?
No, I'm not back till the 17th, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd
Okay.
definitely join.
Okay, well, you know where it is, you know, we
Yep.
have time, it's not gonna be on until January.
Do you want to do 8:30, Mike?
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I'll mention it to Bill, you know, Bill's phone number.
I don't have a phone number.
When you, if you take out green log, it's the fall, just courtesy thing, I don't think that there'll be any issue with it, or Mark, you can tell Mark about, they don't even need to be there. There you go, you got, I'm sure you got those, I don't give him my cell phone. We postponed this until I wrote 112, but that's not it, I'm sure we're not doing it on January 12th. Thank you.
The meeting?
Yeah,
Yes.
we continued, sorry, did not postpone, continued, okay, so we have some time.
We continue to the 22nd.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay. So we have even more time, Don, so we're not gonna hear this one again until the 22nd. So we have plenty of time for you to just walk aside if you get a chance.
Yeah, I'd love to, actually. I'm interested.
It's such an accessible site, unlike a lot of them, and it's fairly small, but I think if individuals can make it on their own, it's, you know. Fairly safe, people see your car parked there for a week or something, will know that you got lost in the site, it's not certain.
Yep.
Okay, and if there's no other business, we will accept a motion to close the meeting, and I will do one more roll call vote.
I think we should revisit an old meeting.
Who's gonna start the roll call?
I will start it, but I want to know if somebody wants to make a motion to close the meeting. And James seconded it. Wants to do it first before it's a special second.
It's Hannah's last meeting. I don't want to close the meeting. I'm just going to keep it on.
That's right. That's right, Hannah. We didn't get your kid.
Second.
Okay. Fine, James first, Hannah second, thank you. Don. Close the meeting.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ariane? Mike, aye. Steve?
Aye.
And Dave?
Aye.
Okay, official, thank you. Next meeting will be on January 8th.
I much